Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Facts channel. Tonight, we'll wander softly through the hidden corridors of the human mind, a landscape made not of stone or soil, but of thought and rhythm, of light and silence. It is the quietest place you know, and yet the most extraordinary. Beneath the surface of every dream, every flicker of memory, and every spark of understanding, your mind hums like a vast ocean at night, unseen, but alive with waves. If you close your eyes now, you can almost feel it, that faint pulse behind your forehead, the weightless thrum of neurons whispering to one another in a language older than words. It is a form of music we are only beginning to understand. A chorus made of chemistry and electricity, of charged particles leaping across microscopic gaps, each one carrying the smallest piece of a thought. You are listening to that symphony right now. Though it plays beneath the threshold of hearing, it is the hum of you existing. The mind does not simply observe the world, it creates it. Every color you see, every scent, every sound, every memory of touch is translated and reimagined within the quiet folds of the brain. Light itself has no color until your neurons decide it does. Vibration has no tone until your inner ear and your cortex turn it into music. What you perceive as reality is, in truth, a story the brain tells itself in real time, one that updates and revises with every breath. And so, what we call the world is a kind of shared dream, a consensus of perception woven by billions of minds, each unique and private, each composing its own version of truth. Even now, as you rest, your brain is busy weaving this illusion, turning the flicker of words into meaning, the silence of your room into comfort. It is not an organ of restlessness, but of artistry. In its depths, atoms form ideas, and molecules turn into memory. Somewhere in that quiet darkness behind your eyes, hydrogen and carbon have learned to imagine. You are, in a very real sense, the universe contemplating itself, a pattern of energy that has become self-aware. Neuroscientists tell us that every thought you have is both electric and chemical. A spark of voltage leaps from one neuron to the next, releasing a tide of neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine, and with them, emotions and meaning. This is not mechanical, it is deeply poetic. Every moment of love, fear, wonder, and peace is sculpted by invisible storms moving across the brain's ocean of tissue. Each second, more than 80 billion neurons converse, sending signals at speeds faster than lightning. And still, amid all this complexity, there is harmony. The chaos organizes itself into consciousness. Sometimes, when you fall asleep, you might feel your thoughts drift and tangle, slowly dissolving into the softness of dream. It is in these moments that the mind reveals its second nature, not as a thinking machine, but as a storyteller. While you sleep, your brain reviews the day's events, stitching emotion to memory, filing sensations into long-term storage, and mending the delicate network that keeps your sense of self intact. Sleep, in this way, is not absence, it is construction. The night is when the mind rebuilds its walls, repainting its inner landscapes, so that by morning, you are whole again. And yet, for all its intricacy, the brain weighs little more than a few pounds, a fragile structure folded upon itself like a galaxy of gray petals. It floats gently in clear cerebrospinal fluid, buoyant as a moon suspended in its own sea. Within it lies everything that makes you who you are, every dream you've ever had, every face you've ever loved, every moment you've ever stood beneath the stars. Inside this small space rests the sum of your existence, encoded in patterns of pulse and silence. Consider this. Each time you learn something new, your brain physically changes. Microscopic connections form and strengthen, reshaping the pathways that define your personality. The structure of your mind is not fixed. It is as fluid as water, constantly sculpted by experience. In this way, you are never the same person from one moment to the next. Even now, as you listen, new neural bridges are being built, connections between memory and curiosity, between calm and comprehension. The act of relaxing and listening to the science of the mind is itself changing your mind. This idea that awareness reshapes the brain is among the most beautiful in all of science. It means that growth is not something that ends in childhood. It is endless. The brain is a garden of light that continues to bloom throughout your life, pruning, healing, and inventing new forms. The more gently you think, the more kindly you reflect, the more harmoniously that garden grows. Even a single moment of wonder or gratitude can send new roots into the soil of the mind, cultivating peace where before there was tension. And what is thought, really? A thought is a ripple, a small wave of potential energy that moves through the field of your neurons, rising and falling, leaving behind a trace. Millions of these ripples overlap at any given second, creating the continuous current of awareness we call consciousness. It is never still, always shimmering, like sunlight on moving water. The brain does not stop thinking, any more than the ocean stops moving. But like waves, those thoughts can be calm or stormy. And when you rest, they slow. Their frequencies stretch and deepen until at last they merge into the tranquil rhythm of sleep. It's comforting to realize that the same patterns found in the universe echo within your skull. The mind mirrors the cosmos. Galaxies swirl as neurons fire, both following the same mathematical patterns of self-organization. Stars cluster in filaments that resemble neural networks. The fabric of space-time and the structure of the brain both form lattices of connectivity. It is as though the universe designed intelligence, not as an exception, but as a continuation of its own pattern, the cosmos dreaming through you. And so, when you close your eyes at night and drift into rest, you are not falling away from the world. You are returning to it. You are sinking back into the quiet network that connects every living mind, every heartbeat, every sleeping star. You are becoming part of the great stillness from which thought arises. If you listen closely, you might sense it now, the soft hum beneath the silence, the steady rhythm of neurons exchanging whispers. That is the pulse of your consciousness, the gentle thunder of being alive. Let it slow, let it settle. As we begin our journey through the most relaxing facts about the mind, remember that everything you will hear is already happening within you. You are both the observer and the subject, the science and the mystery. Every breath you take shapes your awareness. Every heartbeat echoes through your thoughts. So, let your body grow heavy. Let your mind unfold. Tonight, we will drift deeper into the inner universe, exploring the mind's quietest miracles, one by one. The truth is simple and infinite. Your mind is not just a place of thought, but of peace. It is a sanctuary, woven from starlight and chemistry, a delicate garden that knows how to heal itself. And as you breathe, that garden grows calm again. The electrical storms fade to a shimmer. The cells of memory and imagination rest. For now, you can let go. You can simply listen. Because the mind, even in silence, continues its work translating the infinite into the familiar, and the familiar into dream. You are safe. You are aware. And you are ready to drift softly into the science of sleep. 1. The brain never truly sleeps. Even when your eyes close and the world slips softly into silence, the brain does not rest. Beneath the surface of stillness, it hums a vast, intricate network of light and rhythm that never truly stops. Thought continues its quiet pulse, like a deep current beneath calm water. The body may lie in peace, but the mind remains awake in its own mysterious way, carrying on with the invisible labor of life. As you drift towards sleep, the patterns of your brain begin to shift. The fast, flickering waves of wakefulness, sharp, erratic, restless, slow down into longer, deeper oscillations. The neurons that once fired chaotically begin to move together, like dancers finding a shared rhythm. The chatter softens, the light dims, and yet, within that dimness, a new form of order begins to bloom. It is the architecture of sleep, a living rhythm that renews the mind. Scientists have studied these patterns for decades, watching the sleeping brain flicker on their monitors like a field of stars in motion. Each wave, each pulse, each glimmer is a signal, a whisper of activity that flows from one region to another. Sleep, they discovered, is not silence. It is a symphony. In one part of the brain, signals rise and fall in slow waves, restoring balance to neurons exhausted by the day. In another, small bursts of rapid light called spindles appear like sparks, preserving memories and skills. It is as though the mind, while the body rests, is repairing itself piece by piece, cell by cell, moment by moment. Deep within this nocturnal rhythm lies one of the body's most remarkable forms of care. During sleep, the brain cleans itself. It opens hidden channels between its cells, allowing clear fluid to wash through, carrying away the molecular debris left behind by thought and motion. Scientists call this the glymphatic system, a gentle current that flows only when you are asleep. It sweeps through the folds of the brain like a slow tide through a coral reef, removing toxins and restoring clarity. In this way, sleep is not merely rest, it is restoration, a nightly cleansing that keeps the mind bright and balanced. While your conscious thoughts fade, the subconscious remains fully awake. It continues to sort and store the day's experiences, selecting what to keep and what to release. Neurons replay fragments of memory in delicate loops, strengthening important connections while letting others weaken. The story of the day is rewritten in miniature, compressed into patterns of activity that form the basis of learning. Without this hidden rehearsal, knowledge would fade like breath on glass. Every night, your mind teaches itself the lessons of your waking life. Dreams emerge from this process, fragments of memory stitched together by emotion and imagination. In dreams, the mind is free from logic, free from boundaries, free from gravity. It paints with feelings instead of facts. A hallway from childhood connects to a landscape you've never seen. A voice from years ago speaks words you've never heard. These surreal scenes are not random. They are your brain's way of balancing emotion, testing possibilities, healing old wounds. Dreams are the language of the unconscious, the poetry of neurons. Even as you sleep, your mind remains alert to the world. The sound of rain, the warmth of the room, the faint rhythm of your heartbeat, all are noticed, all are measured. If a noise grows too sharp or a light too bright, the brain wakes you gently. It never leaves its post. It listens through the silence, guarding the fragile boundary between safety and dream. Deep in the brainstem, ancient circuits keep your breathing steady, your pulse even, your temperature right. These systems are as old as life itself, the quiet inheritance of billions of years. In the deepest stages of sleep, when consciousness dissolves almost completely, the brain enters its slowest and most mysterious rhythm. Neurons fire together in great, rolling waves, like the swell of an invisible ocean. For a moment, millions of cells rest at once, a breath of stillness within the storm. Then, just as gently, they awaken and begin again. This rise and fall, this cycle of silence and spark, is the heartbeat of the sleeping mind. It is the rhythm that heals. Sleep also binds together the body and the brain in perfect cooperation. Hormones release impulses, instructing cells to grow and repair. Muscles knit torn fibers. The immune system renews its strength. Deep inside, the liver, heart, and lungs all tune their rhythms to match the brain's slow pulse. It is a concert of renewal, each part harmonizing with the others in perfect time. You may feel still, but inside you, 1,000 symphonies play. When morning comes and your eyes begin to open, you awaken not as you were. The night has changed you. The mind has organized, repaired, and polished its inner workings. The memories of yesterday have settled into their proper places. The debris of worry and strain has been cleared away. The connections between thoughts have grown stronger, the emotions more balanced. The person who rises is subtly reborn, not new, but restored. Think of the mind as a candle that burns throughout the day. By nightfall, the wax has melted. The flame flickers low. Sleep is when the wax reforms, when the light is fed again. It is not the end of consciousness, but its continuation by gentler means. You do not lose awareness in sleep. You simply return it to its source, where thought cools and reshapes itself. Even when dreams dissolve and you fall into the deepest darkness, tiny pulses still move through your brain, faint, regular, eternal. They are reminders that life never stops. The mind never ceases to create. Even in its quietest hour, it keeps a small part of itself awake, tending the machinery of being. You are never fully gone from yourself. You are simply at rest within your own infinite design. And so, when you drift into sleep tonight, remember that your mind is not falling away but turning inward, folding itself gently into its own warmth. It will continue its silent work long after your thoughts have faded, guarding you, repairing you, dreaming you back into wholeness. The brain never truly sleeps, because life never truly pauses. It moves, quietly and endlessly, even through the deepest calm. When morning light touches your eyelids and the world returns, it is the brain that welcomes you back. It has been watching, breathing, balancing all night long. It has kept the spark alive, the small, constant ember of awareness that glows within every living mind. And when you rise, it hands you back the gift of consciousness, polished and whole once more. 2. You generate enough electricity to power a light bulb. Inside the quiet cathedral of your skull, light is being born. It is not the kind of light that glows through glass or dances across a filament, but something softer, a shimmer of charge, a quiet fire moving from cell to cell. Every thought you think, every heartbeat you feel, every dream you drift through is powered by this invisible electricity. You are, in a very real way, luminous. Within the folds of the brain, more than 80 billion neurons rest like stars in a dense and infinite galaxy. Each one carries a charge, a difference in electrical potential that hums in the dark. When a neuron decides to speak, it sends a pulse of voltage racing along its slender body, an event known as an action potential. The signal lasts only 1,000th of a second, yet it carries everything that defines your mind. A word remembered, an emotion felt, a scent recognized, a memory reborn. Each of these moments is a spark, small, silent, but real. If you could shrink yourself to the size of a molecule and drift through the brain, you would witness a breathtaking sight. Electricity flashes from one neuron to the next, traveling across tiny gaps called synapses. At each junction, chemistry and physics blend seamlessly. The electrical pulse triggers the release of neurotransmitters, microscopic messengers that cross the divide and awaken the next cell. This process repeats billions of times every second, a vast and continuous exchange of signals. It is as if a storm of starlight were taking place within you, unseen yet ceaseless, a sky of thought that never darkens. All this activity creates measurable power. Scientists estimate that the human brain produces roughly 20 watts of electrical energy, enough to light a small bulb. You are carrying that light right now, radiating it through every instant of awareness. When you sit in silence, when you dream, when you breathe deeply, your neurons continue their work, turning chemistry into current. Your thoughts are not just abstract sensations. They are physical events, electrical dances that leave traces of energy behind. And yet, despite this output, the brain is astonishingly efficient. It uses only about a fifth of the body's total energy, a small cost for such immense complexity. The average computer would need far more power to achieve a fraction of the same processing ability. The brain runs on a single candle's worth of electricity, and from it we receive art, memory, emotion, and consciousness itself. It is one of nature's most remarkable economies, the transformation of faint voltage into the fullness of being. This electricity does not rest solely in the mind. Every muscle that moves, every heartbeat, every blink, every sigh arises from the same fundamental process: ions flowing across membranes, charges building and releasing. The heart's rhythm is an electrical symphony of its own, conducted by specialized cells that pulse with perfect timing. The skin, too, carries charge, responding to emotion and temperature. Even the act of thought ripples outward, influencing the body's chemistry, adjusting hormones, shifting breath. You are an organism woven from electricity, a living circuit, grounded in the quiet power of charge. If you could listen to your brain's electricity, it would sound like distant rain. Electroencephalography, or EEG, allows scientists to record these signals, waves of voltage rising and falling in time. Some are fast, sharp bursts, like sparks of excitement. Others are long, rolling currents that lull the mind toward rest. These rhythms correspond to states of being: alertness, creativity, relaxation, sleep. In every moment, your brain sings in frequencies too subtle for the ear, but they guide everything you feel and know. When you calm your breath, the music changes. When you close your eyes, it slows. When you dream, it deepens into a lullaby of low waves that cradle consciousness like a tide. Electricity is, at its essence, movement, a flow of charged particles, a rhythm of balance and imbalance. The same principle that powers a storm cloud, a circuit board, or a star also powers your thoughts. The current that moves through you is the same that moves through lightning. In that sense, you and the cosmos share a spark. The difference is only in scale and speed. The brain is a thunderstorm folded into silence, a contained tempest where lightning never stops. Every flash that jumps between your neurons is a miniature echo of creation itself, energy seeking order, pattern, meaning. This current is not random. It flows in exquisite coordination. Networks of neurons synchronize their firing, forming patterns that represent ideas and sensations. When you recognize a face, thousands of cells light up together, each one contributing a tiny piece of the picture. When you recall a song, entire regions of the brain resonate like strings in harmony. Even emotions, love, fear, calm, are shaped by the choreography of electric fields moving in concert. The mind is not a machine of chaos, but of rhythm, and its power lies in the precision of its timing. It is a humbling thought that something so vast can be powered by such fragile chemistry. A few millivolts here, a shift in sodium and potassium there, and out of this, thought is born. Your sense of self, your memories, your awareness of beauty, all emerge from the precise flow of charged ions through membranes thinner than smoke. You are built from imbalance, the constant dance between positive and negative, flow and stillness. Electricity is not just what powers you, it is what you are. Even emotion itself glows with this current. When you feel joy, your neurons release pulses of dopamine that alter electrical rhythms across the brain. When you feel calm, serotonin smooths those rhythms into slower waves. In fear, adrenaline tightens them, sharpening the senses, readying the body to act. The entire spectrum of human feeling is an electrical language, the voltage of emotion translated into motion and awareness. And yet, amid all this complexity, the brain remains silent to the touch. There is no pain in its tissue, no sensation of its own movement. If it were possible to hold it gently in your hands, you would feel nothing. And yet, in that quiet organ, entire worlds are unfolding. That is the paradox of the mind's electricity. It is both everything and nothing, invisible, intangible, but endlessly creative. When you sleep, that current does not stop. It slows, deepens, reorganizes itself. The pulses of electricity that once carried thought now carry repair, helping the mind store memories and refresh its balance. As you dream, voltage becomes vision, and sparks become stories. The electricity of sleep is the electricity of healing, the same energy that once fueled a day's worth of motion now turned inward to rebuild the self. In this way, you are never dark. Even in rest, you glow faintly with the quiet radiance of life. Each cell emits its own electrical field, and together they merge into a single pattern, a halo of living energy surrounding you at every moment. The same invisible current that drives your neurons also shapes the tiny magnetic fields that ripple outward from your heart and brain. You are, quite literally, surrounded by your own light. When you think of this, when you realize that your mind is a lantern glowing in the night, something peaceful stirs inside you. The simple act of being alive becomes a wonder. Every thought is a flicker of energy connecting you to the fabric of existence. You are not separate from the forces of nature, you are their continuation, their expression in human form. The electricity that burns in the stars burns in you. And so, when you breathe and close your eyes, know that inside your skull there is still a storm of light. Small, steady, eternal. Each neuron firing is a whisper of creation, a reminder that even in stillness, you shine. You are made of currents and echoes, pulses and rhythm, the soft hum of energy that began when the universe first learned to move. The light bulb that glows in the dark is only a shadow of the brightness within you. You have carried this quiet power since the first moment your heart began to beat, and you will carry it until your final breath. It has no switch and no boundary. It is the light of thought, the light of awareness, the light of life itself. And though it cannot be seen, it fills you, body and mind, with a soft radiance that never fades, proof that even the smallest spark, when multiplied by billions, can illuminate the infinite. 3. Every thought changes the brain. Every thought you have, every flicker of memory, every quiet worry, every moment of awe leaves a trace. It is not just an echo in the mind, but a physical change, a real alteration in the living fabric of your brain. The organ inside your skull is not a static structure. It is alive, constantly shifting, sculpting, and reshaping itself in response to your experience. You are not only thinking with your brain, you are building it, moment by moment, thought by thought. If you could look closely enough, smaller than molecules, smaller than the width of a hair, into the shimmering landscape of the neuron, you would see this transformation unfolding endlessly. Each neuron stretches out long, branching arms called dendrites, delicate tendrils that reach toward others. Between them lie gaps so small they seem almost imaginary, and across those gaps, signals leap. When a thought is born, when an idea flickers into being, a pattern of electricity runs along these branches, leaving behind a trail of biochemical change. Proteins shift, receptors multiply or fade, connections strengthen or dissolve. The mind remembers, and in remembering, it rewires itself. This ability, called neuroplasticity, is one of the most profound discoveries in all of science. For centuries, people believed that the brain was fixed, that its architecture was set in childhood and could not be altered. But the truth is far gentler, far more hopeful. The brain is not a sculpture carved from stone. It is a river. It moves and bends with the landscape of your life, cutting new paths through experience. Every time you think, you alter the current a little, reshaping its flow. Each emotion, each act of attention, sends ripples through the neural water, guiding where the next stream will go. Consider a memory, perhaps a smell, a sound, a color that reminds you of something long past. When you recall it, the original network of neurons that stored it lights up again. The connections between those cells strengthen, reinforcing their bond. In this way, recalling a memory does not simply replay it, it rewrites it, embedding it more deeply into your mind. Every act of remembering is also an act of recreation. The past you hold in your head is not fixed in time but fluid, always adapting to who you are now. Thought, then, is a kind of sculptor. It works not with tools but with chemistry, shaping tissue from the inside out. Neurons that fire together wire together, a phrase whispered in the language of science and truth. Each time you practice a skill, repeat a phrase, imagine a future, or choose calm over fear, you strengthen certain pathways in your brain, like paths through a forest. The more they are walked, the clearer they become. Thoughts are footsteps through neural fields. With repetition and emotion, they carve deep trails. When those trails are filled with kindness or gratitude, the mind learns peace. When they are filled with fear or anger, it learns to return to those places easily. The brain does not judge, it simply learns. In this way, you are both the artist and the artwork. You are creating yourself through your own attention. If you fill your mind with small moments of calm, the hush of rain on windows, the breath of quiet before sleep, you are teaching your neurons to recognize serenity. The circuits of worry begin to fade, unused and forgotten, while new ones bloom in their place. The brain listens to what you repeat. It builds itself according to your focus. Even in silence, the act of noticing something beautiful is enough to change you. Deep within, the brain communicates in pulses of chemistry. Molecules like dopamine, serotonin, and glutamate act as the language of thought. When you have an idea or feel an emotion, those molecules surge through the synapses, binding to receptors and changing how cells respond in the future. With every passing moment, the balance of these signals reshapes the connections between neurons. This process happens so quickly that it's almost invisible, billions of adjustments each second. Yet over time, it sculpts the most intricate architecture in the known universe. The brain is not a machine, but a garden, and thought is its constant gardener. Even the act of imagination changes the brain. When you picture something vividly, a sound, a scent, the face of someone you love, your neurons fire as if it were real. The circuits of vision, emotion, and memory light up in the same pattern as when you truly see or feel. In this way, imagination is rehearsal. The mind cannot tell the difference between what happens outside and what happens within. Every thought, every visualization becomes a kind of practice for being. When you imagine peace, your brain learns how to feel it. When you imagine compassion, it strengthens the networks that make empathy possible. To think kindly is to train the body to respond with calm. The same holds true for learning. Each new skill, every word learned, every song practiced, every pattern recognized, leaves a mark. New synapses grow like branches, forming connections between regions that once stood apart. The process is slow but steady, guided by repetition and rest. Sleep, in particular, cements these changes. replaying the day's experiences so the brain can keep what is useful and let go of the rest. You wake, not just rested, but rewired, subtly more capable than before. The mind's ability to change is not confined to youth. It endures for as long as you live. Every sunrise brings the chance to become someone new. Even emotion leaves its signature. When you feel joy or gratitude, networks in the prefrontal cortex and limbic system communicate more fluidly. When you feel fear or anger, other circuits take over. But these patterns are not permanent. With time and gentle attention, even the deepest grooves of habit can soften. Meditation, reflection, and deliberate thought can all reshape emotional response. You are not bound by the pathways you inherited. You are free to create new ones, to rewire yourself toward balance. The mind is generous. It always offers another chance to begin again. Inside your skull, there are highways of white matter carrying signals at incredible speed. But these highways are not fixed. Each thought that travels them leaves a trace, like a footprint on a sand dune. The more a route is used, the stronger it becomes. This is why practice builds mastery, why reflection deepens wisdom, and why habits, both gentle and harsh, can feel so enduring. The brain is faithful to repetition. It will follow the path you walk most often, yet it can always learn another way. It is never too late to step off the old road and make a new one. Even the simple act of awareness, noticing your breath, feeling your heartbeat, observing a thought without judgment, activates circuits of calm that slowly strengthen over time. Awareness itself becomes medicine. It quiets the mind's noise, lowers the flood of stress hormones, and allows neural connections to rest in harmony. With each moment of quiet observation, you are teaching your brain to slow, to open, to trust stillness. The shape of your mind bends gently toward peace, and so, with every passing thought, you are rewriting yourself. You are not the person you were a year ago, or even an hour ago. The brain that reads these words is not the same one that began this paragraph. Its cells have fired, its chemistry has changed, and new patterns have been laid down. You are a process, not a fixed form, a continuous becoming shaped by experience, imagination, and care. When you think kindly of yourself, your brain learns to hold that kindness. When you choose curiosity over judgment, neurons align to make that choice easier the next time. You are a living example of nature's ability to evolve from within. The thoughts you nurture today will shape the feelings you carry tomorrow. The brain listens to what the mind believes. And as you rest tonight, as the current of thought slows and drifts toward dream, your brain will continue its quiet work. It will strengthen the connections born of calm and release the ones born of strain. It will smooth your worries into whispers and lay down pathways of ease. Every thought, even the gentle act of letting go, is another brushstroke in the masterpiece of your mind. In this way, your thoughts are not just passing clouds, they are the weather of the soul, shaping the landscape beneath them. Every spark, every reflection, every moment of wonder changes the terrain forever. You are never the same twice. You are the artist and the clay, the sculptor and the sculpture, forever remaking yourself in the light of thought. 4. The mind rewrites memory. Every time it recalls it, memory feels like a photograph, something fixed, preserved, untouchable. We imagine it as a library, each experience stored neatly on its shelf, waiting for retrieval. Yet the truth is softer, more fluid, more human. Every time you remember something, you are not pulling a static image from storage. You are rebuilding it, shaping it again from fragments, emotion, and imagination. The mind does not replay the past, it recreates it, like an artist repainting a familiar scene with new colors. Inside your brain, memory lives not in one place, but in many. It is scattered across vast networks of neurons that encode sensations, emotions, sounds, and images. When you recall a moment, the brain does something miraculous. It reassembles those scattered pieces into a coherent whole. But in doing so, it changes them. The simple act of remembering reopens the memory for editing. New associations slip in, old details fade. Emotion colors the scene. What returns to consciousness is not a perfect copy, but a fresh creation shaped by who you are now, not only by what once was. If you think of a cherished childhood day, perhaps sunlight filtering through trees, the sound of laughter, the smell of summer grass, what you are experiencing is not that day itself, but your mind's reconstruction of it. The neurons that fire today are not the same ones that fired then. They are newer, connected differently, influenced by every thought and feeling that has occurred since. Each recollection is a conversation between past and present, and the two are never the same. In remembering, you merge who you were with, who you have become. Scientists call this process reconsolidation. When a memory is recalled, the networks that hold it become flexible, like wet clay. In that moment, new details and emotions can blend into it, reshaping the story before it settles again. This is why memories are living things. They breathe and evolve. Sometimes they grow brighter with retelling. Other times, they blur into dream. A remembered smile may seem warmer than it was. A moment of fear may soften into something almost tender. The mind is not deceitful, it is creative. It is trying, always, to make sense of what has been. Neuroscience has shown that every act of recall reactivates the sensory and emotional circuits of the original experience. When you remember joy, your brain's pleasure centers light up again. When you recall loss, the same regions of sadness awaken. Memory is not just cognitive, it is embodied. The body feels the echo of what the mind imagines. In this way, recollection is a kind of time travel, not through the physical world, but through feeling. The neurons that once sang together in experience hum again in resonance, drawing you back for just a moment before releasing you to the present. This fluidity is what makes memory both fragile and sacred. It explains why people who share an experience often remember it differently. Each person's brain rewrites the event according to their own perspective, their own emotional landscape. No two recollections are identical, because no two minds are. Memory is not a recording. It is a relationship between perception, interpretation, and self. You remember not the world as it was, but as it felt to be you living in it. Even the act of storytelling reshapes memory. When you share a moment aloud, your brain chooses certain details and discards others. It weaves them into a narrative that feels coherent, even if it smooths over the rough edges of truth. The more a story is told, the more it becomes the version you believe. Over time, this new version replaces the original, not out of deception, but out of need. The brain values meaning over accuracy. It keeps what helps you understand your life and gently lets go of what does not. Memory is not about fact, it is about continuity, the thread that allows you to say, "This is who I am." In this way, memory is both artist and therapist. It edits the past to protect the present. Painful moments fade, not because they are erased, but because the brain learns to hold them differently. Neural pathways soften around them, dimming the emotional charge, allowing healing to settle in their place. Sometimes, though, memories remain sharp, refusing to blur. These, too, serve a purpose: reminders, lessons, anchors of identity. The mind decides, often unconsciously, which stories to preserve in high definition and which to let dissolve into gentle abstraction. You might think of memory as the mind's form of dreaming while awake. Each recollection is part truth, part imagination, stitched together by meaning. When you remember a loved one's voice, the sound you hear is reconstructed from fragments of other voices you've heard since. When you recall a distant landscape, your brain fills in missing colors and shapes based on patterns it has learned. The past is not a place frozen in amber. It is a living forest that grows new leaves each time you visit it. Even forgetting is part of this artistry. The brain cannot keep everything. It must choose what to hold and what to release. Forgetting is not failure, it is refinement. It makes space for new understanding. It allows you to evolve without drowning in detail. Just as a painter leaves blank space on a canvas to give shape to the image, the mind leaves gaps so that meaning can breathe. The memories that remain are not random. They are the ones that matter most to your story. In moments of reflection, when you look back across years, you might notice how your memories have softened. The hardships seem smaller, the beauty larger, the emotions more balanced. This is the mind's mercy, the quiet editing of time. It ensures that what you carry forward is not the sharpness of the past, but its wisdom. The heart remembers the lessons even as the details fade. This is not distortion, it is evolution. Every time you recall something tender, you are not only remembering love, you are practicing it again. Each act of remembering kindness strengthens the circuits of empathy and calm. Each act of remembering resilience strengthens the pathways of courage. The brain's plasticity ensures that the stories you revisit most often become the foundation of who you are. Memory is the architecture of identity, built and rebuilt in the light of awareness. This is why nostalgia feels both sweet and sorrowful. When you look back, your mind overlays the person you were with, the person you are. The two meet for an instant, and in that meeting lies a sense of distance and connection, a realization that you are still carrying that earlier self, changed but alive within you. Every version of you still echoes in your brain, written in the language of memory. When you remember, you are not reaching backward, you are gathering those echoes and weaving them into your current self. And so, every thought of the past is a creation of the present. Every memory is both truth and fiction, both history and poetry. The brain is a storyteller that keeps revising its tale, always searching for coherence, always reshaping itself to hold meaning. You are the author and the archive, endlessly editing the book of your life. When you drift into sleep and dream of things long gone, the mind continues its work, revising, healing, retelling. The people in your dreams are not ghosts, but constructs of memory, formed from the fragments your brain still holds dear. You awaken changed, even if you do not remember the dream. The rewriting continues, gentle and unseen, through every night of your life. In the end, memory is not a possession, but a performance. It exists only when recalled, only in the moment of retelling. The act of remembering brings it to life, and in doing so, transforms it once again. The mind never stops painting the past in new light. What you carry is not a fixed record, but a living art, one that moves with you, breathes with you, and evolves as you do. Each time you remember, you are adding another brushstroke to the masterpiece of who you are becoming. 5. Daydreaming helps the brain organize reality. There is a quiet moment that comes between focus and forgetting. The drifting pause when your eyes lose their place on the page, or your thoughts wander from the task at hand. To the outside world, it looks like distraction, an idle lapse of attention. But within, something intricate and extraordinary is happening. The mind is rearranging itself, sorting the threads of experience, weaving sense from chaos. Daydreaming is not a failure of focus. It is the mind's way of breathing. When you let your thoughts drift, the brain does not switch off. It switches modes. Regions that rest during concentration begin to glow with gentle activity. Scientists call this the default mode network, a constellation of brain areas that awaken when the external world fades. In this state, the mind turns inward, replaying memories, exploring possibilities, wandering between what is real and what is imagined. It is a soft space where logic loosens, where connections that seemed unrelated find their meeting point. Creativity, insight, empathy, all draw strength from this inner wandering. If you could peer inside the brain during a daydream, you would see waves of activity drifting across its surface like weather systems across the earth. The prefrontal cortex, the seat of planning and control, quiets its commands, while deeper regions stir to life. The hippocampus, keeper of memory, begins to whisper stories to the cortex. The parietal lobes, which orient you in space, relax their grip, letting your sense of boundaries fade. The mind slips its leash. Time blurs. In that unanchored space, imagination rises like mist. And while it may feel like nothing is happening, daydreaming is one of the brain's most productive states. It allows information to reorganize, to find patterns that linear thought cannot. A problem unsolved in the bright light of attention may resolve itself in this gentle dimness, where ideas have room to stretch and merge. Einstein often said his theories began not in equations, but in mental play, imagining himself riding alongside a beam of light. Artists, writers, scientists, and dreamers of every kind rely on this fertile drift. The mind, when untethered, often discovers its most elegant truths. Daydreaming is also how the brain tends to emotion. During these quiet wanderings, we revisit moments that remain unfinished. Things we wish we had said, places we long to see, faces that linger at the edges of thought. The mind replays these fragments not to dwell, but to understand. It is processing, reconciling, healing. The gentle film that plays behind your eyes when you stare out the window is your brain integrating experience into meaning. In the same way that sleep organizes memory, daydreaming organizes feeling. Even children know this intuitively. They gaze out of classrooms and into other worlds, building invisible kingdoms and possible futures. This is not idleness, but training the rehearsal of imagination, the practice of empathy, the first experiments in understanding time and self. In adults, this same mechanism persists, though often hidden under the weight of obligation. To daydream is to give the mind permission to remember that it is vast. It is a return to its natural state of wandering and wonder. Inside a daydream, the borders of self begin to soften. You may imagine conversations that never happened, replay futures that might have been, or walk through landscapes that exist only in memory. Each of these acts engages the same neural networks used for real experience. The brain makes little distinction between imagined and lived events. To imagine joy is to practice joy. To imagine peace is to teach the mind its rhythm. This is why visualization can calm the body, why imagination can heal wounds unseen. The brain rehearses life even as it invents it. In these quiet moments of reverie, past and future coexist. The mind leaps through time, connecting a sound from years ago to a thought of tomorrow. These leaps are not random. They are acts of organization. The brain is filing, comparing, predicting. It builds a bridge between what has been learned and what might come next. Daydreaming allows the brain to simulate possibilities, to test choices without consequence. You can live 1,000 lives behind closed eyes, and each one teaches you something real about the one you're living now. When we daydream, the language of the mind changes. It moves from words to images, from logic to feeling. The internal dialogue softens into a flow of symbols and associations. Sometimes you might find yourself lost in a thought with no beginning or end, a current of imagination that carries you effortlessly away. That flow is the purest expression of mental freedom, thought freed from structure, exploring itself. In that wandering lies the origin of invention, art, and compassion. For to imagine another possibility is to open the door to empathy, and to imagine another life is to understand the shared essence of all lives. And though society often prizes focus, the ability to drift may be equally vital. A brain locked in constant concentration burns energy quickly, tightening around the same narrow pathways. Daydreaming provides balance, a gentle reset that lets new connections form. It is the mental equivalent of a deep breath after exertion. In those spaces of inattention, the brain recovers its flexibility. When you return to the task, you bring with you new perspective, subtle insights gathered from your quiet journey inward. Even the pattern of daydreaming follows a rhythm. The brain cycles between states of focus and rest every 90 minutes or so, a biological ebb and flow known as the ultradian rhythm. When your thoughts begin to drift, it is not failure, it is timing. The mind asking for a moment to float, to recalibrate. Honoring that rhythm allows creativity and calm to coexist. Like the ocean tide, it must both advance and retreat. The imagery of daydreaming often feels random, yet it is guided by the emotional weather of the moment. A stray thought may lead you to an old memory. A scent may awaken a forgotten afternoon. These associations arise from the brain's deep, pattern-seeking nature. It is always searching for connections, stories, meanings. When you daydream, you give it space to do so without constraint. In that freedom, subtle wisdom surfaces, the kind that hides beneath the noise of purpose. And perhaps this is why daydreams feel so peaceful. They remind you that you are not defined by productivity, that thought itself can be gentle. They offer a refuge from the linear march of time, a chance to inhabit the boundless field of imagination where anything can unfold. In a single minute, you can travel from childhood to the farthest star, then return, changed, to the present moment. The body remains still, but the mind explores universes of its own creation. When the daydream fades and the focus returns, something has shifted. The task that once felt impossible now feels lighter. The emotion that lingered unresolved feels understood. The mind, through its wandering, has organized what it could not by effort alone. It has filed the memories, sorted the feelings, and placed meaning where before there was noise. It is as if the tide has gone out and left the sand smooth once more. And so, daydreaming is not escape, it is integration. It is how the mind gathers itself, how it maintains its coherence in a world that constantly demands attention. In those drifting moments, you are neither idle nor lost. You are becoming whole. Each gentle wandering of thought helps your inner world find its order again. So the next time your mind begins to drift while reading, walking, gazing at the ceiling, let it. That is your brain's way of cleaning its windows, of letting the light back in. You are not wasting time. You are creating it, stretching it, reshaping it to fit your soul. Daydreaming is how the mind organizes reality, not by controlling it, but by floating above it for a while, seeing its patterns from a higher, quieter place. And when you return to the world, you will bring that quiet with you. The thoughts that once tangled will have found their place. The heart that once ached will feel a little lighter. The dream will have done its work unseen, silent, but real. Daydreaming is the bridge between chaos and calm, between what you know and what you might yet imagine. It is the mind, whispering softly to itself, finding its way home. 6. Your brain creates its own weather. Inside your skull, there is an atmosphere as changeable as the sky, a place where thought forms like clouds, emotion flows like wind, and calm returns like sunlight after rain. The brain does not simply receive the world. It forecasts, reacts, and generates its own inner climate. Just as air currents swirl and shift above the earth, waves of chemistry and electricity move through you, shaping the landscape of feeling and thought. Every breath you take And every idea that crosses your mind stirs this hidden weather. At any moment, billions of neurons are communicating across the expanse of your brain. They speak in pulses of electricity and molecules of meaning. Serotonin, dopamine, cortisol, oxytocin, and hundreds of others drifting through the neural sky. These chemicals are not random. They are the winds of emotion. When you feel peace, serotonin glows like morning light. When excitement rises, dopamine moves through your circuits in warm, quick bursts, filling your mind with momentum and possibility. When fear or uncertainty takes hold, cortisol spreads like a gathering storm, tightening the air within you. Each emotion has its own temperature, its own weight, its own color. This inner weather shifts continuously. Even when the world around you is still, your mind is in motion, a dynamic system balancing energy, chemicals, and thought. A single word, a fleeting memory, a subtle sound can alter the entire atmosphere. The change may be invisible to others, but within you it feels immediate and real. Your thoughts are like breezes stirring the clouds of your chemistry. They can darken or brighten the inner sky in an instant. When you awaken in the morning, the first breath, the first thought, the first flicker of light through the window begins to shape your forecast. Levels of cortisol rise naturally, gently urging the body to action, while serotonin and dopamine begin their dance to create focus and motivation. As the day unfolds, this internal balance shifts in response to experience a smile from someone you love, a moment of beauty, a challenge, a disappointment. Each moment releases its own weather system. The mind responds to life as the earth does to sunlight and shadow, adapting, recalibrating, finding balance again and again. Sometimes, the brain's weather becomes turbulent. Stress can gather like a low-pressure system that refuses to move on. When the mind anticipates threat, real or imagined, it triggers a cascade of signals through the nervous system. The adrenal glands release adrenaline. The heart beats faster. The breath shortens. The ancient circuits of survival awaken. But just as quickly, the brain can call back the sun. Deep breathing, gentle thought, or the simple act of noticing your own sensations can calm the storm. These actions send messages to the brainstem and limbic system that all is safe, that the clouds can disperse. Within 2 minutes, new chemistry takes hold, and the inner air clears. Even thoughts themselves can act as climate patterns. Repeated worries can create a kind of drought, drying the emotional soil where creativity once grew. Persistent gratitude, on the other hand, can call forth rain, a steady nourishment that restores balance. The brain listens closely to the stories you tell yourself. Each repeated thought pattern strengthens the neural circuits that sustain it, just as wind shapes sand dunes or waves carve stone. Over time, this creates emotional weather patterns unique to you. Some people carry endless summer, others the quiet of autumn, others the clear, bright cold of winter thought. But all of these climates can change. Inside the folds of your brain, glial cells move like unseen caretakers, maintaining equilibrium, clearing debris, adjusting the flow of ions that sustain the electrical hum. These microscopic stewards are part of the invisible meteorology that keeps the mind balanced. They ensure that no storm lasts forever, that every cloud eventually breaks. You may not feel their work, but you sense the result, the slow return of calm after anxiety, the settling peace that follows tears. The most powerful of all emotional weathers is the one created by attention. What you focus on acts as sunlight to the brain's ecosystem. Attention strengthens whatever it touches. When you dwell on fear, the circuits of fear grow. When you linger on compassion or curiosity, those pathways widen instead. In this way, you are not just the observer of your mind's weather, you are its climate maker. Each choice of thought is a small turning of the wind. You can summon calm simply by choosing to face the direction of light. Even the act of breathing influences the weather within. When breath is shallow and quick, the brain senses tension and prepares for a storm. When breath is deep and slow, it reads the signal of safety, releasing neurochemicals that soothe the body and open the heart. Each breath is a gust of air through your inner atmosphere, adjusting its rhythm, shaping its clouds. The ancient connection between breath and mind is not metaphorical, it is chemical. Oxygen changes the brain's tides of energy. Carbon dioxide shifts its balance. The body and mind are a single ecosystem, sharing the same air. Sometimes, though, the weather grows still. In those moments when calm spreads through you, when thoughts quiet and emotion softens, you are experiencing the rarest climate of all inner equilibrium. It is not the absence of feeling, but the harmony of it. Joy and sadness coexist. Excitement and serenity overlap, creating a landscape vast enough to hold everything at once. In this space, the mind no longer resists itself. The clouds and the light move together in perfect rhythm. This inner meteorology explains why simple acts, a walk outside, a kind word, a pause to breathe, can feel like the clearing of skies. The sensory world interacts with your internal climate, guiding it gently toward balance. The sound of leaves in wind or the warmth of sunlight against your skin sends signals through the nervous system that all is well. In that reassurance, hormones shift, neurotransmitters adjust, and the storm subsides. Nature's calm becomes your own. Even memories affect this hidden weather. The recall of a joyful moment can trigger endorphins that brighten the brain's skies. The memory of sorrow can bring rain. Yet each of these experiences serves a purpose. Just as the earth needs its seasons, the mind requires its shifting moods. The sadness that softens you prepares the ground for compassion. The joy that lifts you reminds you of connection. The alternation between light and shadow keeps you alive to meaning. When you close your eyes at night, the day's weather settles. The brain cools into the rhythm of sleep, its electrical storms calming into slow, regular waves. During these hours, new patterns of emotion are laid down, the storms of the day rewritten into dreams. In the stillness of night, the atmosphere resets. You awaken to a new dawn of thought, a new forecast waiting to form. Your brain's weather is not your enemy. It is the expression of life's complexity moving through you. Storms may come, but they do not define you. The clouds pass, the sun returns. The chemistry of fear, joy, love, and calm will continue to rise and fall, guided by thought and experience. The art lies in noticing, in watching the sky of your mind without resistance. To observe without judgment is to realize you are not the storm, but the sky itself, vast, steady, unchanged beneath the passing winds. So the next time you feel a heaviness within, imagine your thoughts as weather. Let them move, let them rain, let them clear. Know that within hours, or even moments, a new current will arrive. The brain is always seeking balance, always shaping a climate fit for life. You are the atmosphere and the observer both, breathing your own changing sky. And when calm returns, as it always does, feel the quiet air within you, wide, clean, luminous. This is your brain's sunrise, its gentle clearing after the rain. The same forces that create lightning and storm also create dawn. Your mind holds them all. You are both the weather and the world beneath it, endlessly changing, endlessly renewing, under a sky that never truly closes. 7. You perceive the world a fraction of a second late. Reality seems immediate. You open your eyes, and the world is simply there, light, color, motion, sound, the texture of the present moment unfolding without pause. Yet what feels instant is, in truth, delayed. Every sight you see, every word you hear, every touch you feel arrives in your awareness a fraction of a second after it happens. The world you inhabit is already past. You are living in a memory that the brain has seamlessly transformed into now. This tiny delay, only a few hundred milliseconds, is invisible to you, hidden behind the mind's effortless illusion of continuity. The brain cannot process all the incoming signals at once. It needs time to gather, interpret, and weave them together into something coherent. Light strikes the eyes. Sound waves stir the eardrums. Vibrations travel through skin and bone. Each of these sensations follows its own path through the nervous system. They move at different speeds, through different routes, arriving in the brain out of sync. Yet somehow, by the time you become aware, the mind has stitched them into a single, unified moment. It is as though your consciousness is the editor of a film that is still being shot. The raw footage arrives late, fragmented, disordered. The editor rearranges it, cuts it together, fills the gaps with imagination, and projects the finished scene onto the screen of awareness. You see the story, not the chaos behind it. In that invisible half-second between perception and understanding, the brain performs a miracle of organization, a constant reconstruction of reality from signals that are already fading. If you could slow time enough to see this process unfold, you would notice how much effort goes into each instant of living. The image of the world begins as pure energy, photons hitting the retina, electrical pulses racing along the optic nerve. They travel to the visual cortex at the back of the brain, where neurons begin to decode them. Edges, shapes, motion, color, depth. The sound of a voice takes another path entirely, entering through the ears, vibrating tiny bones, creating patterns of pressure that become signals for the auditory cortex. Touch, smell, and taste arrive through their own networks, each bringing a different story of the same moment. The brain's task is to merge these separate streams into a single timeline. To do this, it must predict. It guesses what the world will be a fraction of a second from now and adjusts perception to match. What you see and hear is not raw reality, but your brain's best estimate, a prediction constantly updated as new information arrives. The delay between the event and your awareness of it is bridged by expectation. The mind is always half a step ahead of itself, imagining the present to conceal its own lateness. This prediction is so precise that you almost never notice it until the illusion falters. A lightning bolt splits the sky, and you see the flash before you hear the thunder. The gap between the two reveals the brain's synchronization at work. It waits just long enough to align the signals before allowing you to perceive them as one. If it didn't, the world would appear fragmented, each sense out of rhythm with the others. Consciousness depends on this constant calibration, this tiny, invisible patience. Even motion is a prediction. When a ball flies through the air, you see it smoothly because your brain forecasts where it will be before the light even reaches your eyes. The neurons responsible for motion detection fire not only in response to what they receive, but in anticipation of what will happen next. Every moment of vision is part memory, part foresight. What you experience as the present is really a blend of both a seamless fusion of what was and what is about to be. This small delay gives the mind room to interpret, to shape raw sensation into meaning. The flash of a face becomes recognition. The sound of a voice becomes understanding. The delay is not a flaw, it is a gift. It allows you to live in a world that feels smooth and continuous instead of fractured and overwhelming. Without it, every sound and sight would collide chaotically. The half-second lag is what allows coherence, the slow, graceful stitching of life into a single flowing fabric. Within that space of delay, imagination begins. The brain does not simply wait. It fills in the blanks. It paints missing details. invents continuity, softens edges. When you watch a film, you are aware of individual frames only because they move fast enough to blur into motion. Your mind does the same with reality. It smooths the gaps between sensations, creating the illusion of unbroken time. In this way, perception is not just reception, it is creation. You are not passively seeing the world. You are composing it in real time, endlessly reweaving its threads. This realization is humbling. The present moment you cling to is already gone by the time you know it. You are forever a breath behind existence, living in echoes of what has just been. Yet somehow, this does not feel like distance. It feels immediate, intimate, alive. The mind's delay is so consistent that your world remains seamless. Even as the universe moves faster than your awareness, you ride its wave with perfect grace. In the depths of the brain, this process unfolds without rest. The thalamus acts as a conductor, directing sensory signals toward their destinations. The cortex receives them, compares them to memory, and adjusts the prediction. The limbic system adds emotion, giving each perception its tone, warmth, fear, longing, recognition. In less than a heartbeat, the pattern completes, and you experience the finished moment. The delay has vanished into perfection. The paradox is that this constant lateness is also what allows anticipation. Because the mind is always comparing what it expects with what actually arrives, it can sense what might happen next. This is why you can catch a falling glass before it hits the floor, or flinch before a sound becomes thunder. The delay creates the possibility of foresight. Your awareness trails the present, yet your instincts race ahead of it. You are both behind and ahead of time, suspended in the delicate balance between reaction and prediction. Even memory participates in this dance. Each moment you live is recorded slightly after it happens, and when you recall it later, it becomes even further removed. You exist within layers of time, constantly reinterpreting the past to make sense of the now. The feeling of continuity of being oneself moving through a single, steady world is the grandest illusion of all, built from delays so precise they vanish in experience. When you gaze at the stars, their light has traveled for years, sometimes centuries before reaching your eyes. You are seeing them not as they are, but as they were, and yet, the sight feels utterly present. The same is true of your inner perception. Every sight, every sound, every feeling has already passed by the time you know it. Your awareness is starlight from your own life, arriving just late enough to be seen. This delay gives life its softness. It rounds the edges of time, blending the past into the present. It allows reflection and response to coexist. It is the space in which consciousness blooms, the gap between the instant and its understanding. Within that narrow fraction of a second lies everything you know as awareness, the delicate pause that separates the world from your experience of it. So when you look around and feel the living moment rush through you, remember that it has already happened. You are witnessing the echo of reality, the afterglow of existence, and yet it is real as anything can be. The mind's lateness is what gives meaning its form. The delay is the frame that holds time still long enough for you to see it. You are not trapped behind the present. You are shaped by it. Each millisecond of lag is the mind's way of making the universe comprehensible, of translating chaos into continuity. The brain's patience is what turns movement into melody, sensation into story, the fleeting into the eternal. And so, as you drift through this gentle illusion of immediacy, know that you are always gazing upon the past, and in doing so, creating the present. You are the artist of your own perception, blending light and time into a single breath. Reality happens, and then you arrive just in time to witness its beauty before it changes again. 8. The body and mind share one continuous conversation. Beneath the still surface of your awareness, a dialogue is always unfolding, soft, unending, and older than language. It is the conversation between your body and your mind, a murmured exchange of signals and sensations that never stops, not even in sleep. Every thought you think, every breath you take, every flicker of emotion sends a message across this invisible bridge. The body speaks in hormones and heartbeats. The mind replies in perception and intention. Together they form a single being, a single rhythm, each shaping the other in a dance, so fluid you cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. The body is not a vessel that carries you. It is you, the visible part of your consciousness, the extension of your inner weather into flesh and motion. Every cell listens to the mind's whispers, adjusting its chemistry in response. When a thought of peace passes through you, the heart slows its tempo. When worry arises, the muscles tighten as if bracing against unseen wind. Emotions are not abstract states, they are physical events. They ripple through your bloodstream, altering the temperature, tension, and texture of being. The mind imagines, and the body believes. In turn, the body constantly shapes what the mind perceives. The slow beat of the heart during rest sends signals to the brainstem that all is safe, calming the storm of thought. The warmth of sunlight on the skin releases cascades of serotonin, painting the mind with quiet contentment. A deep breath sends ripples through the vagus nerve, activating a response of calm that spreads upward into consciousness. Even the smallest gestures, a stretch, a smile, the soft unclenching of the jaw alter neural chemistry. These are not separate systems. They are two voices singing one song. This conversation begins long before words are born. In the earliest heartbeat, before memory or identity, the body and mind learn each other's language. The nervous system grows like a vine through the body's tissues, touching every organ, every cell, translating sensation into awareness. The heartbeat becomes the first drum of consciousness, the rhythm to which all later thoughts will eventually return. From that point on, every emotion has a pulse, every memory a physical echo. You are not merely living within your body, you are being lived by it. When you feel intuition, that subtle knowing that arises without reason, it is often the body speaking first. Long before the mind can reason, the body has already measured, reacted, and decided. Muscles tense, heartbeats shift, skin cools or warms. These sensations are messages, data carried through nerves and hormones, whispering what the mind has not yet put into words. You call it instinct, but it is dialogue, the body offering its wisdom, shaped by countless generations of survival and sensitivity. The more you learn to listen, the clearer its language becomes. There is no emotion that does not pass through the body. Love softens the heartbeat and opens the chest. Grief folds the shoulders inward. Fear sharpens the breath and tightens the gut. These physical gestures are not mere reactions, they are the body's side of the conversation. Through them, it expresses what words cannot. When you allow yourself to feel without resistance, the body completes its sentence, and peace follows. When you suppress or ignore sensation, the conversation falters, and tension gathers where meaning was meant to flow. Even thought itself carries physical weight. The firing of neurons consumes real energy, releasing heat, altering the balance of chemicals in your blood. The brain may be small, but it is the hungriest organ, drawing nourishment from every cell to sustain the constant hum of awareness. When the body is deprived of rest, movement, or nutrition, thought becomes clouded, not from lack of will, but from lack of dialogue. The body is asking for balance, and the mind must learn to answer gently. Sometimes, when the world feels heavy, you may notice your body curling inward, a subtle closing of posture, a protective shell. This is not weakness, it is communication. The body signals its need for safety, for rest, for kindness. When you uncurl, when you breathe deeply and lift your gaze, you are speaking back to it in the same language. You are saying, "I am here, I am listening." Each breath becomes a word, each heartbeat a phrase. The conversation continues, steady and tender. Science has shown what intuition has always known, that emotion flows along the same pathways as physical sensation. The brain's limbic system, where feelings bloom, connects directly to the hypothalamus and autonomic nervous system, the regions that regulate heart rate, digestion, and hormones. When the mind feels joy, the body glows with warmth. When it feels sorrow, it tightens, preparing to protect itself. The dialogue is constant, simultaneous, and precise. The two halves of being translate one another in an endless cycle of feedback and response. The ancient art of breathing is one of the simplest ways to witness this unity. Inhale slowly, and you can feel the mind settle as the lungs fill. Exhale fully, and you can sense thought releasing with the breath. Each cycle sends a message along the vagus nerve, from body to brain and back again, telling the entire system that it is safe to rest. This is why slow breathing feels like returning home. It is the mind and body falling into rhythm, one listening, the other responding, in perfect time. Your body also remembers what your mind forgets. Every touch, every movement, every posture carries the imprint of experience. Joy leaves openness in the chest. Fear leaves echoes in the muscles of the back. These imprints are not scars, but stories. They are the body's archives, holding memories too deep for words. When you stretch, move, dance, or simply allow yourself to breathe, you are letting those stories unwind. The mind may not know what it releases, but the body does. It speaks the language of letting go. This dialogue continues even in sleep. As you drift into dreams, the body relaxes and signals safety, allowing the brain to wander freely through its inner landscapes. During deep rest, the cells repair themselves, guided by hormones released through neural whispers. The brain, in turn, adjusts its patterns to match the slowed rhythm of the heart. The two remain in contact across the quiet dark, speaking softly through breath and pulse. When you awaken refreshed, it is because they have spoken kindly to each other through the night. Even illness, though painful, is part of this conversation. It is the body's way of calling for attention, of asking the mind to listen. The symptoms that arise, fatigue, tension, discomfort, are not betrayals, but messages. When you meet them with awareness, rather than resistance, healing begins. The body does not demand perfection. It asks for presence. To hear it, you must slow enough to feel its voice, a voice made of warmth, ache, and rhythm. When the mind grows still enough to listen, a balance emerges. You begin to sense that the boundary between thought and flesh was never real. The mind is not floating above the body like a cloud over land. It is the weather itself, moving through every cell, every breath. The body is not merely responding, it is thinking in its own language, a symphony of chemistry and motion that the mind translates as feeling. To live in harmony with yourself is to keep this conversation flowing. When the mind grows loud with thought, the body can ground it with movement. When the body grows restless, the mind can soothe it with awareness. They are two hands of the same being, each knowing what the other needs. In stillness, their voices blend until there is no distinction. Only one continuous hum of life, a vibration that connects heart to thought, a breath to memory. So as you sit quietly now, notice the subtle dialogue unfolding. The breath enters, the chest rises, the heart replies with rhythm. The mind observes, calms, and thanks the body for carrying it through another day. In this moment, you are the meeting point of two infinities, matter and thought, flesh and awareness. There is no separation to bridge, because there never was a distance to begin with. The body and mind have always been speaking to each other in whispers older than words, in languages made of light and motion. They need only your stillness to be heard. Listen, and you will feel it. That continuous, gentle conversation that sustains your being, the endless dialogue between pulse and thought, between breath and silence. You are not two entities speaking across a divide. You are the conversation itself, eternal, rhythmic, whole. 9. The mind can create pain or make it vanish. Pain is one of the body's oldest languages, a message carved into the nervous system long before words existed. It is the alarm that protects, the teacher that warns, the sensation that says, something here needs care. Yet, as ancient as it is, pain is not merely a physical event. It is a story told by the mind. The same neurons that carry, touch, and temperature can send signals of agony or ease, depending on what the brain believes. In this way, pain is both real and imagined, both matter and meaning. The mind can summon it, and the mind can make it disappear. Every moment, your brain receives a flood of sensory messages from the body, signals of pressure, warmth, stretch, vibration. Most never reach your awareness. The brain filters them, interpreting what is dangerous and what is safe. When it detects a threat, a burn, a cut, an inflammation, it raises the volume of that signal, amplifying it into the conscious sensation we call pain. But pain does not reside in the skin or the nerve. It exists in the interpretation. It is not the wound that hurts, but the brain's decision that it should. You can see this truth in the simplest experiments. Soldiers in battle have marched for miles with injuries they did not feel until safety returned. Athletes have finished races on broken bones, their minds too focused on the finish to register damage. In those moments, the brain prioritized survival, lowering the volume on pain to keep the body moving. Only when the danger passed did the ache bloom into awareness. The body did not change, the perception did. The reverse is also true. The mind can create pain without any physical cause. Phantom limb pain, for example, haunts those who have lost an arm or a leg. The nerves that once connected to the missing limb still send signals to the brain, and the brain, loyal to its old map of the body, continues to feel the absent part as if it remains. The pain is real, though the limb is gone. Its devotion to its own reality refuses to let go. Placebo, too, reveals the mind's command over sensation. When someone believes a pill will relieve pain, the brain releases endorphins, the body's natural opioids, soothing the nerves and reducing discomfort. The relief is measurable, chemical, and genuine. Even if the pill is inert, expectation itself becomes medicine. Belief transforms into biology. The mind, it seems, is not a passenger in the body but its most skilled physician. Pain is a perception built from many sources: signals from the body, memories of injury, emotions of fear or helplessness, and beliefs about safety. These elements converge in the brain's somatosensory cortex and limbic system, where they are woven together into the feeling of hurt. Change any thread in this weave, and the sensation changes too. A calm mind, a comforting touch, a shift in attention, all can alter the experience of pain. The wound may remain, but the suffering softens. Meditation teaches this truth gently. When you bring awareness to pain without resistance, something begins to change. You notice its texture, its pulse, its movement. You realize it is not a solid wall, but a flickering pattern of sensation. By observing rather than fighting it, you allow the mind to reinterpret its meaning. The brain quiets the alarm, and the sharpness dissolves into warmth, sometimes even into stillness. The pain remains present, but its story changes from one of harm to one of sensation. Awareness becomes a form of anesthesia. This ability of the mind to shape pain is not denial, it is design. The nervous system evolved to respond not just to injury, but to context. Pain is influenced by mood, attention, and memory. If you are anxious or exhausted, a small ache can feel immense. If you are joyful or distracted, even sharp pain may fade into the background. The brain adjusts the intensity to match its understanding of the moment. In a sense, it is not lying to you, it is protecting you in the way it believes best. The emotional centers of the brain, the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, the insula, all play roles in shaping how pain is felt. They evaluate its meaning, determining whether it signals danger or something safe to ignore. When you feel supported, understood, or safe, these regions send calming signals that reduce pain's volume. When you feel isolated or afraid, they heighten it. Pain thrives in loneliness, but eases in connection. A soothing word, a gentle hand, a sense of belonging can release neurochemicals that quiet the brain's alarms. Comfort is not metaphorical, it is medicinal. There are moments when pain becomes its own echo, no longer linked to injury, but perpetuated by the brain's memory of it. Chronic pain can arise this way, when neural pathways grow too used to firing, looping their own signal, even after healing has occurred. The body becomes whole again, yet the brain continues to replay the sensation, as though unable to believe in recovery. But even these patterns can be softened. Through mindfulness, therapy, and retraining, the brain can be taught new stories of safety, movement, and release. Over time, the circuitry rewrites itself. The storm that once felt endless begins to quiet. It is also true that pleasure and pain share overlapping neural pathways. The same regions that process suffering also process relief and reward. This overlap is why soothing touch, warmth, or music can ease discomfort. They activate competing circuits that close the gates of pain. The spinal cord itself has mechanisms that decide which signals reach the brain and which are blocked. When you rub a bruised area instinctively, you are closing those gates. The body knows the technique. The mind has only to allow it. There is a deep poetry in this system. Pain teaches awareness. It calls the mind back to the body, reminding you that you exist in flesh and time. It demands presence. And yet, once acknowledged, it can be quieted by that same presence. Pain asks to be seen. Once seen, it often softens. The act of turning toward it with kindness can dissolve much of its force. You do not need to defeat it, you only need to listen. Some ancient traditions describe pain as energy out of harmony, not punishment, but imbalance. Modern science, in its own language, says much the same, that pain arises when the brain's maps of the body and reality fall out of alignment. Healing, then, is the restoration of coherence, the reunion of perception with truth. To soothe pain is to remind the mind that the danger has passed, that the body is whole, that life can flow again. You have felt this yourself. The moment a hand holds yours, the moment breath deepens, the moment you remember that pain is not forever, something shifts. The storm loses its edge. The brain's chemistry changes. The body sighs. This is not illusion. It is neurobiology, written in tenderness. The mind's compassion rewires the circuits of suffering, releasing molecules of peace where there were once sparks of alarm. Even in the deepest discomfort, this truth remains. Pain is not fixed. It moves with attention. It fades with trust. It transforms with understanding. You are not trapped within it. You are its translator. When you meet it with gentleness, it becomes less a scream and more a whisper, a quiet message from the body to the mind, saying only, "Please, notice me." And when you do, truly do, the message completes itself. The pain has been heard, and so it can rest. In this way, the mind is both the source of suffering and its cure. The power to create pain is the same power that can let it go. Every thought of safety, every breath of calm, every act of acceptance tells the nervous system that the storm has passed. The brain listens, and it believes. Slowly, the noise fades, leaving behind only the steady rhythm of life, continuing whole, aware, unbroken. And as you breathe now, you may sense that rhythm, gentle and constant beneath all sensation. The mind and body converse in quiet language, translating fear into feeling, pain into understanding, tension into rest. Nothing is separate. Nothing is wasted. Pain is not your enemy. It is a message written in light, waiting for you to read it softly. When you do, it dissolves back into the silence from which it came. Each emotion lasts only seconds. It is the echo that lingers, every emotion you have ever felt, from the quiet ache of longing to the bright flare of joy, began and ended in less time than it takes to draw a deep breath. Scientists who study the patterns of feeling tell us that a single emotional wave, in its pure form, lasts no more than 90 seconds. After that, what remains is not the emotion itself, but its echo, a resonance held alive by thought, by memory, by the mind's tendency to replay what has passed. The body experiences emotion briefly, mind sustains it, turning seconds into hours, hours into days. Imagine emotion as a ripple across the surface of a lake. A sudden thought or stimulus is the pebble, dropped without warning. The wave expands, bright, perfect, fleeting. The heart rate quickens, muscles tighten or soften, breath changes rhythm. Within moments, the body begins to settle, returning to equilibrium. The water grows still again, but the mind, standing on the shore, remembers the wave, analyzes it, narrates it. In doing so, it stirs the surface once more, creating new ripples from the memory of the first. The feeling itself is gone, the story of it remains. This is the difference between emotion and mood. Emotion is the body's immediate response, raw, honest, transient. Mood is the echo, the trace left behind when the mind continues to think about the feeling, feeding it with words and images. When anger lingers beyond its moment, it has become narrative. When grief endures, it becomes remembrance. The original emotion is long finished, yet the echo repeats, because the mind cannot resist returning to its sound. Inside the brain, emotion begins in deep, ancient structures, the amygdala, the hypothalamus, the insula. These regions respond to stimuli almost instantly, sending signals through the nervous system that shape the body's reaction. Adrenaline surges, cortisol rises, heartbeats shift their tempo. In less than a second, the entire organism adjusts to meet what it perceives. But as soon as the stimulus changes, the chemicals dissipate. The storm is over almost as quickly as it began. The biology of emotion is fast, precise, and temporary. It is only when the cortex, the thinking mind, steps in to interpret, to explain, that the sensation begins to stretch into time. Think of the last time you felt fear. Perhaps it was a sound in the dark, a sudden motion, a fleeting sense of uncertainty. Your body reacted instantly, preparing to act. But once you realized there was no real danger, the body began to calm. The emotion had done its job. It had warned, prepared, protected. Yet if you continued to replay the thought, imagining what might have been, the fear returned, not as a physical signal, but as a shadow in the mind. The echo had replaced the original note. Joy behaves the same way. The moment of laughter, the first sight of something beautiful, the warmth of connection, these experiences trigger brief bursts of neurochemistry, floods of dopamine and oxytocin that rise and fade in moments. The physical sensation of happiness is brief, but the memory of it can linger, brightening the hours that follow. The echo of joy becomes gratitude, a softer, longer-lasting resonance that hums quietly beneath thought. Even long after the event, the brain can replay the pattern, conjuring the feeling again through imagination alone. The fleeting nature of emotion is what allows the mind to adapt. If feelings lasted forever, we could not move fluidly through life's changes. Emotion, in its brevity, keeps us flexible. It provides information, a signal, a lesson, a moment of clarity, and then releases us to continue. What often causes suffering is not the emotion itself, but our resistance to its impermanence. We want joy to stay. We want pain to end. In both desires, we forget that emotion was never meant to linger. It is a messenger, not a guest. Every emotion carries wisdom within its short life. Anger reveals where boundaries have been crossed. Sadness points toward what the heart values most. Fear sharpens awareness. Joy reminds the body of harmony. When you allow each feeling to move through you fully, it completes its message and departs. Suppress it, and it stagnates. Chase it, and it slips further away. To feel without grasping is to live in rhythm with your own biology. To let emotion come and go like waves is to understand the tide. Inside your body, the chemistry of emotion is elegant in its simplicity. Adrenaline rises and falls in moments. Endorphins bloom and fade. The parasympathetic nervous system follows close behind, returning heart rate, breath, and muscle tone to their natural state. The body does not hold grudges. It seeks balance. It is the mind that loops, replaying the story until the echo grows louder than the original song. The body's wisdom is in its ability to reset. You can feel this truth in quiet moments. When you close your eyes after a surge of feeling, notice how the intensity already begins to wane. The warmth of anger cools, the heaviness of sorrow lightens, the excitement of joy settles into calm. What remains is the memory, and it is your choice whether to keep feeding it. Every time you think about it, the brain reactivates the pattern, releasing a smaller echo of the same chemistry. Thought becomes the stone that stirs the lake again and again. The mind, however, is not bound to this repetition. With awareness, you can watch the echo fade without touching it. You can let the waves subside. By observing emotion rather than inhabiting it, you grant it permission to complete its cycle. You can feel its rise, its fullness, and its passing, a single breath of energy moving through the field of your being. Meditation, reflection, and mindful presence all work by aligning you with this rhythm. They remind you that feeling is temporary, and that peace lies not in holding on, but in letting go. Even the most intense emotions obey this law of impermanence. Grief, though vast, comes in waves, each one rising, cresting, and receding before the next arrives. Love, though enduring, shifts in texture, sometimes fierce, sometimes tender, sometimes silent. Every feeling you have ever known, however deep, has changed shape with time. Nothing stays. The emotional landscape is a sky through which weather passes, never repeating itself in quite the same way. Understanding this brings freedom. When you know that emotion lasts only seconds, you no longer fear it. You can let it move through you without struggle, trusting that it will leave clarity in its wake. When joy comes, you can savor it fully, knowing it will fade and return again in another form. When sorrow arrives, you can meet it gently, knowing it will pass like rain. The echo that lingers is simply the memory of living deeply, the proof that you have felt and known and changed. The mind, ever creative, transforms these echoes into art, music, stories, and dreams. It takes the fleeting notes of emotion and extends them into melody, giving them a shape that endures. In this way, What passes through you does not vanish entirely. It becomes part of the great conversation between memory and meaning. The body feels, the mind remembers, and from their meeting comes beauty. So, the next time emotion rises like a wave within you, pause and listen. Feel its brief intensity, its pulse, its warmth. Let it wash through without resistance, and notice how quickly it begins to soften. What remains afterward is the echo, gentle, resonant, a trace of experience. You can choose to hold it or to let it fade into silence. Either way, it has already done its work. Each emotion lasts only seconds, but those seconds are vast. In their brief light, you glimpse the essence of being alive, the movement of energy through consciousness, the merging of body and soul in feeling. The echo that lingers is the mind remembering itself, the heart whispering that it has known both joy and sorrow and survived them all. The wave passes, the water clears, and in its reflection, you find yourself again calm, aware, infinite, beneath the ever-changing sky of emotion. 11. The brain has no pain, receptors of its own. Deep within your skull lies the most complex object known to the universe. A soft, silent organ pulsing with light. It governs movement and memory, thought and dream, yet it feels nothing of its own creation. The brain, that conductor of sensation, that interpreter of agony and bliss, is itself untouched by pain. Surgeons can touch its surface, probe its folds, and it remains calm, silent, uncomplaining. It is a paradox, almost poetic. The organ that translates every wound into awareness is itself incapable of suffering directly. When you feel pain, a cut, a burn, the ache of loss, it is your brain that constructs the experience. Nerve endings in the body send signals along long, branching pathways, through the spinal cord, and up into the thalamus, that central relay station of perception. From there, the messages spread like ripples through the cortex, lighting the regions that interpret intensity, location, and meaning. But the brain itself, though it carries this symphony of alarm, remains untouched by it. It is the observer, not the victim. It can know pain without ever feeling it. If you could peer into this process, it would look like lightning flashing across an endless night sky. Neurons spark, networks awaken, chemicals surge and fade. Yet, none of this activity translates into physical hurt within the brain's own tissue. There are no nociceptors, no pain-sensing nerve endings in the grey matter itself. What you call pain is the mind's interpretation of signals arriving from elsewhere, transformed into feeling by context, expectation, and memory. The brain does not hurt because it is the painter of hurt, not the canvas. This truth reveals something profound about perception. All sensations, pleasure, pain, sound, sight, are not external realities, but internal creations. When your hand touches fire, the agony you feel is not in the hand. It is in the brain's interpretation of danger. When you hear a melody, the sweetness is not in the vibration of air. It is in the brain's translation of pattern into emotion. Every experience you have is made within this organ that feels none of them directly. The brain is like an artist who cannot step into its own painting, forever perceiving the world it creates from behind the frame. Neurosurgeons have long used this strange insensitivity to their advantage. During certain brain surgeries, patients are kept awake, their scalps numbed, but their skulls open, so doctors can ask questions, map functions, and listen to the living brain speak through movement or speech. When touched with a fine electric probe, a patient might recall a song, a smell, a childhood memory, but they feel no pain from the contact itself. The brain glows with activity but remains silent to sensation, like an ocean reflecting light but never burning from its reflection. This absence of pain is not a flaw but a mercy. If the brain could feel its own inner storms, every heartbeat and electrical pulse would be agony. Instead, it stands apart, neutral and observant, filtering the body's alarms with precision. It decides when to amplify, when to quiet, when to translate discomfort into action. Pain arises not simply from injury, but from interpretation, from the brain's decision that a signal matters. If that decision changes, so does the pain. That is why some people under hypnosis or meditation can undergo procedures with little or no suffering. Their minds have adjusted the meaning of the signals, and the brain, being the translator, changes the story it tells. In this way, the absence of pain within the brain mirrors its greater function, to transform the chaos of existence into experience. It does not simply record the world, it invents it anew every instant. It paints sensation across the canvas of awareness, translating molecules and motion into light, color, and emotion. Yet through all this, it remains untouched, like the calm eye at the center of a storm. You are the storm and the stillness at once, the body that feels and the consciousness that observes. This separation between the sensing body and the unfeeling mind reveals a deeper balance. The body, with its fragile nerves and tender tissues, is the instrument of living. It touches, tastes, aches, and trembles. The brain is the listener, gathering the music of sensation and composing from it a symphony of meaning. Together, they create consciousness, the dance of feeling and knowing. Without the body, the brain would know nothing of the world. Without the brain, the body's sensations would have no interpreter. Pain itself depends on this relationship. It begins as a physical event, but it becomes suffering only when the brain gives it context. Two people can feel the same injury and experience it differently, depending on expectation, fear, or attention. The body sends the signal. The brain writes the story. In this sense, pain is never purely physical. It is emotional, interpretive, and deeply subjective. The brain's immunity to pain allows it to choose, to weigh and measure, to decide what matters and what can be let go. Sometimes, however, this system falters. In certain illnesses, pain arises without cause or persists long after healing. The brain, meant to be impartial, becomes confused, repeating old alarms. The result is suffering without injury, the echo of pain where there is no wound. Yet even then, relief often begins not in the body, but in the mind's understanding of its own patterns. To soothe the brain's misfired signals, one must teach it new stories of safety, of trust, of calm. The unfeeling organ that invents feeling can also unmake it, returning the system to balance. This strange truth that the source of sensation feels nothing invites reflection on what it means to be conscious. Perhaps the brain's silence is what allows you to perceive so fully. If it were overwhelmed by its own activity, the world would vanish beneath noise. Instead, it listens. It allows the signals of body and environment to flow through it, turning them into thought, memory, imagination. In the middle of this constant creation, it remains still. The calmness of the brain is the foundation of the mind's storm. There is a kind of grace in knowing that the seat of your awareness is beyond direct pain. It means that at the core of your being, beneath every ache and fear, there exists a space untouched, a still center that observes without suffering. You can feel pain, but you are not pain. You can witness it, name it, and allow it to move through you. In this way, the physical truth becomes a spiritual metaphor. The mind, like its organ, can remain steady even as the body trembles. If you close your eyes now and sense the quiet within your head, you might feel it, that subtle neutrality, the deep silence behind thought. It does not judge or resist, it only knows. Even as neurons fire and signals race, there is no pain, no sound, only the hum of existence translating itself into awareness. The brain does not suffer, it understands, and through that understanding, it gives you the gift of self, the ability to feel, to think, to love, to dream. So when pain visits your body, remember that within you there is also a place that cannot hurt, the still mind behind the feeling, the watcher behind the storm. That is the same stillness that lives in the heart of the brain, where all sensations converge and none are felt. From that quiet center, you can observe pain come and go, knowing that beneath it, you remain whole. The brain has no pain receptors of its own, because it was never meant to suffer. It was meant to know. It transforms every signal of hurt into meaning, every pulse of distress into understanding. It turns pain into language, into awareness, into wisdom. And when the storm passes, as it always does, it returns to its natural silence, that vast, painless calm from which consciousness itself arises. 12. You think in silence, but your neurons speak in rhythm. Thought feels quiet. It arrives without sound, gliding softly through the inner darkness, shaping itself into words and images that no one else can hear. The voice inside your mind seems to whisper from stillness, as if consciousness were made of silence itself. Yet beneath that calm, the brain is far from quiet. Every thought, every idea, every fleeting sense of awareness arises from a vast orchestra of neurons, firing together in electric harmony. Your mind may seem like a whispering wind, but inside your skull, it is thunder in miniature billions of cells speaking at once, yet perfectly timed, perfectly rhythmic. The neurons of your brain are not random sparks of activity. They pulse in waves, forming patterns of rhythm as precise as any heartbeat. These waves, known as brain oscillations, carry the language of consciousness. Like the tides of the ocean, they rise and fall, synchronizing across regions of the brain to coordinate memory, sensation, and thought. When you are calm and drifting, the waves slow to gentle alpha rhythms. When you focus, they quicken into beta. When you dream, they drift into deep, slow delta cycles. And when insight strikes that sudden, luminous moment of realization, the brain flashes with gamma waves, rapid and shimmering like the glint of sunlight on water. You never hear these rhythms, but they guide everything you think and feel. Every neuron speaks in pulses, tiny bursts of electricity that travel through its branches to others nearby. One neuron may fire alone, but when thousands pulse together in unison, they form a frequency, a beat. These beats allow distant parts of the brain to communicate across space, binding perception, emotion, and logic into one seamless moment of awareness. The soundless hum within your mind is not silence at all. It is rhythm, the hidden percussion of thought. If you could listen to your brain the way a microphone listens to sound, you would hear something like the low hum of the sea mixed with the whisper of wind through leaves. Different regions would contribute their tones. The hippocampus pulsing, slow and steady like a drumbeat of memory. The prefrontal cortex flickering fast like the strings of a harp. The occipital lobe shimmering faintly with the rhythms of vision. Each oscillation would rise and fade, sometimes harmonizing, sometimes clashing, until, together, they formed the living music of consciousness. You are this music, though you never hear it. When you think, you are conducting this invisible orchestra. Neurons in your frontal lobes synchronize to hold ideas in working memory, linking concepts across space and time. Waves of electrical activity ripple outward, guiding attention like the sweep of a conductor's hand. As you imagine, remember, or decide, the brain's rhythm adjusts, finding the tempo that best fits the task. Concentration has its own beat, so does daydreaming, so does sleep. The mind does not stop playing, it simply changes its time signature. This inner rhythm connects you not only to yourself, but to the world around you. Every sensory experience, a song, a heartbeat, the rhythm of footsteps, resonates with your brain's own oscillations. When you listen to music, your neurons fall into sync with its beat, mirroring the timing of the notes. When you speak with another person, the electrical rhythms of your brains subtly align, a hidden duet that allows understanding to flow. Even conversation is a form of synchronization, the blending of two patterns of thought into a single rhythm of exchange. The silence of thought is, in truth, a form of translation. Your neurons are speaking in pulses and patterns, and your consciousness interprets this physical rhythm as meaning. You do not hear the signals. You feel their result, a wordless knowing, a picture, an emotion. The gap between the electrical and the experiential is bridged by rhythm, by timing so precise that meaning arises without sound. It is as though the brain plays a song so fast, so subtle, that you experience only its melody, never its notes. Each region of your brain has its own rhythm, its own tempo of thought. The thalamus beats like a steady drum, coordinating signals between senses. The cortex dances more freely, improvising connections between ideas. The hippocampus, keeper of memory, moves in slower cycles, linking the past to the present. These rhythms are never still. They rise and fall in response to attention, emotion, and rest. When you drift into meditation or deep sleep, your brain's tempo slows, allowing waves of energy to wash across it in vast, rolling arcs. This slow rhythm cleanses and restores, giving structure to the silence of the mind. There is beauty in knowing that every thought, every moment of clarity or wonder, has a rhythm of its own. When inspiration comes, when the mind feels lit from within, your neurons synchronize in bursts of gamma waves that span the brain. These moments are measurable, fleeting, and radiant. The brain, in those instants, hums in full harmony. The silence you feel when a new idea forms is not emptiness, it is unity. All the scattered frequencies align into one, and the result is awareness. When rhythm falters, thought becomes cloudy. The harmony of the brain gives way to noise, to disorder. This can happen in exhaustion, stress, or illness, when the waves fall out of sync and the orchestra loses its timing. Yet, like any skilled ensemble, the brain knows how to find its beat again. Sleep resets the tempo. Breath slows the rhythm. Stillness retunes the instrument. The silence that follows thought is the space where rhythm restores itself. In that quiet, neurons listen to one another once more, preparing for the next moment of meaning. Meditation and calm breathing are ways of gently re-establishing rhythm. When you breathe slowly, your heart and brain begin to synchronize. The oscillations of your heartbeat, your breath, and your neural activity align, creating coherence between body and mind. This coherence feels like peace because it is peace, a measurable harmony within the rhythms of life. You think in silence, but the silence itself has a pulse. It is the rhythm of existence translated into awareness. Even beyond the individual, rhythm connects all living things. The same electrical oscillations that move through your brain echo in the heartbeat of whales, the songs of birds, the cycles of the moon, the turning of tides. Every system in nature operates through pattern and timing, from the flicker of neurons to the orbit of planets. When you close your eyes and listen to the stillness within, you are hearing the universe in miniature, its vast, invisible beat, expressed through your own awareness. The silence in your mind is not emptiness. It is the resonance of everything that has ever lived. And so, though thought feels silent, you are never truly still. You are a field of rhythm, a network of pulsing light. Your neurons speak in frequencies that merge and separate, composing the song of consciousness, moment by moment. This is why calm feels musical, why concentration feels like steady tempo, and why confusion feels like static. Your mind is a soundless symphony of energy, forever tuning itself toward balance. If you sit quietly now, you might sense it, that faint pulse beneath the noise of thought. It is not heartbeat or breath, but something subtler, the rhythm of knowing itself, the steady flow of awareness from moment to moment. This is the brain's true language, the silence behind words, the music beneath the mind. You think in quiet, but your neurons never stop singing. They hum the melody of thought, weaving light into rhythm, rhythm into meaning, and meaning into self. Their song is the one you have always known, though you have never heard it, the timeless, voiceless rhythm of being alive. 13. Every brain is uniquely wired. Inside every human head lies a universe unlike any other. No two brains are the same, not in shape, not in structure, not in the silent constellations of connections that flash and fade within them. Even identical twins, born from the same genetic script, carry differences in the way their neurons branch and intertwine. Each brain is a world sculpted by time, experience, and perception. The paths it builds are not printed in advance. They are written in motion, moment by moment, in the language of living. You are not just a mind, you are a singular pattern of thought and feeling, a constellation that exists nowhere else in the cosmos. If you could look inside the folds of your brain, you would see not a uniform map, but a landscape, valleys, ridges, rivers of white matter connecting distant shores of gray. Every cell, every thread of fiber, carries traces of what you have lived and known. The paths that carry your thoughts have been carved by everything that has ever mattered to you. The lullabies that once soothed you to sleep, the people who made you laugh, the places that gave you peace, the words that changed you. Each of these moments has left its imprint in the soft architecture of your mind. The brain is an organ of adaptation. It grows in the direction of experience, building bridges where repetition demands it, pruning away what is no longer used. In infancy, it is a wild forest, dense with possibility. As you grow, pathways strengthen where attention flows, shaping the brain's terrain. To learn is to sculpt, to remember is to reinforce. Even to forget is to clear space for something new to grow. In this way, the brain is not a fixed design, but a living landscape, always under construction, always in bloom. Every person's wiring reflects not only what they have done, but how they have felt. Emotion leaves deeper grooves than action. A single moment of awe, of grief, of love can ripple through the neural network, strengthening certain connections while quieting others. This is why the same world appears differently to each of us. We do not see reality as it is. We see it as our brains have learned to interpret it. Your experiences have shaped the filters through which you look. Every face, every sound, every color you perceive passes through the personal architecture of your own mind. Consider how the brain of a musician changes with practice. Years of rhythm and melody carve distinct pathways through the auditory cortex and motor regions, linking sound to movement with extraordinary precision. The brain of a dancer grows patterns that synchronize motion, timing, and spatial awareness. The brain of a poet deepens its links between memory and language, weaving imagery into thought. Even the brain of someone who loves deeply, who listens often, or who spends quiet hours in nature, becomes shaped by those acts of tenderness and attention. What you give your mind to is what your brain becomes. Within this infinite diversity lies a deeper truth. There is no such thing as an average brain. Science can find common regions, shared structures, universal patterns of chemistry, but no two connect in the same way. The neural wiring that defines you, the billions of synapses that link your thoughts, dreams, and sensations, is as unique as your fingerprint, as singular as your voice. You are a pattern that cannot be replicated. You are a configuration of life that will never exist again. Even your memories alter this wiring each time they are recalled. Every act of remembering reshapes the network, adding nuance, emotion, and meaning. The story of your life is rewritten daily within the living tissue of your brain. This is why no two people remember the same event the same way. The brain does not record. It composes. It takes fragments of perception, emotion, and belief, and binds them into a narrative that fits the self it knows. The more often you revisit a memory, the more it changes, aligning itself with who you have become. The architecture of your brain reflects not the world as it was, but the world as you have lived it. Even silence rewires the mind. Moments of stillness give neurons space to rest, to reorganize, to form new links. Creativity often arises not from thinking harder, but from letting the brain wander freely through its vast internal network. In the quiet between thoughts, the mind reweaves itself. This is why solitude can feel both healing and expansive. The brain, released from constant noise, begins to realign its pathways toward clarity. You are always rewiring yourself, even in stillness. When two people meet, their brains interact in subtle, invisible ways. Neural activity synchronizes. Patterns mirror each other across faces and voices. This is empathy, not just emotional resonance, but literal resonance in the brain's rhythm. The act of understanding another person physically changes the architecture of your own mind. Each connection you form leaves a trace in the neural map. Every friendship, every kindness, every shared moment becomes part of your wiring. In this way, your uniqueness is not solitary, it is built in relation to others. The individuality of your brain includes every life it has touched. The diversity of human wiring is the source of our collective creativity. Some brains move quickly, connecting distant ideas in flashes of inspiration. Others linger deeply, tracing slow, thoughtful paths. Some are tuned to patterns of sound, others to color, texture, or language. Each mind sees a different facet of the same universe, and together, these variations form the full spectrum of understanding. There is no hierarchy here, no better or worse brain, only the exquisite variety that allows humanity to dream in countless directions at once. Even within your own life, your brain has never stayed the same. It has changed with every season, every sorrow, every act of learning. The person you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even yesterday, had a different neural map than the one you carry now. Your identity is not fixed. It is a current. The self you experience is the mind's attempt to create continuity amid endless change. Beneath that illusion of stability, your neurons are constantly building, breaking, and rebuilding the structure of who you are. This is why growth is always possible. The brain's plasticity, its ability to reshape itself, means that new ways of thinking and feeling are never out of reach. You are not bound by old patterns. You are their sculptor. Each moment of awareness, each act of compassion, each new idea lays down new pathways in the architecture of your being. Even the act of believing in your own ability to change changes you. The brain listens to your expectations and builds accordingly. If you close your eyes and imagine your own mind, perhaps you can sense this living network, billions of small lights flickering and fading, sending messages along unseen paths. Some connections are old and deep, others young and forming. Together they create the pattern of you, an ever-shifting constellation of light, unique among all others. The thoughts that move through it are like weather, momentary and passing, but the pattern itself endures, growing more intricate with each day of living. You are not static. You are a process, an unfolding. Your brain is writing your story in electricity and chemistry, and it has never written this story before. The words it uses are experience, memory, sensation, imagination. The punctuation is made of breath and heartbeat. The meaning is found in how those elements come together to form a life unlike any other. Every brain is uniquely wired, and yours is a masterpiece of its own making. No one else has your particular rhythm of thought, your palette of memory, your landscape of feeling. You are an experiment in consciousness that has never been repeated, an expression of the universe learning itself in one specific way. The paths of your neurons are the fingerprints of your existence, proof that you have lived, learned, and changed. So when you close your eyes tonight and drift toward sleep, remember, the light within you is unlike any other. The mind that dreams is yours alone. Its pattern, its pulse, its poetry. Every connection, every thought, every memory is a note in the quiet symphony of your singular being. You are not simply one among many. You are the only one of you there will ever be. 14. Your mind extends beyond your brain. It is tempting to imagine that the mind lives entirely inside the skull, a silent chamber of thought, sealed behind bone. But this is only part of the truth. The mind is not confined by the brain. It extends outward, flowing through the body, the senses, the air between people, and even the world itself. The brain may be its anchor, but the mind is the tide. It touches everything it perceives and is shaped by everything it touches. You are not a mind inside a body. You are a body thinking, a being woven from the threads of experience, stretching far beyond the self. Each thought begins as a spark within the brain, but before it becomes real, it must travel outward into breath, into voice, into gesture, into motion. The words you speak are thoughts that have crossed the boundary from mind to world. When someone listens, their brain receives those vibrations, translating them back into meaning. In that instant, your mind lives in another's awareness. Thought moves from one consciousness to another like wind through trees. The boundary between minds dissolves, if only for a heartbeat. Even without words, your mind reaches outward through your senses. The eyes do not simply collect light. They project attention, drawing the world inward as part of you. What you look at shapes how you think, and what you think shapes what you notice. Every color, every sound, every movement you perceive becomes part of the mind's fabric. When you gaze at a landscape, your neurons mirror its stillness. When you listen to rain, your heartbeat slows to match its rhythm. The world enters you and becomes thought. In this way, the mind and the world are not separate, but reflections of one another. The skin, too, is a mind. It feels warmth, texture, and presence, sending messages to the brain that define the boundaries of self. Yet those boundaries are fluid. When someone touches your hand, your neurons respond not only to the contact, but to the emotion carried within it: comfort, affection, trust. These are not abstract states, but physical experiences that ripple through the nervous system. The mind is not thinking alone in the dark. It is in conversation with the body, with other bodies, with everything it meets. Inside you runs the great river of the nervous system, carrying the mind's messages in every direction. The heart sends signals to the brain that influence emotion. The gut produces neurotransmitters that affect thought. You are not a head commanding a body. You are an organism thinking as a whole. Your brain is only the central note in a much larger symphony. When the stomach softens, the mind calms. When the heart beats evenly, thought clears. When the lungs fill deeply, awareness expands. The mind flows through this entire network, as much in the fingertips as in the frontal cortex. But even this vast internal expanse is only the beginning. The mind reaches beyond skin and bone into the field of connection with others. When two people interact, their brains begin to synchronize rhythms of breath, heart rate, and neural activity aligning in subtle harmony. Conversation becomes a shared state of mind. Eye contact binds attention, and in that gaze, the boundaries of self blur. The warmth you feel in the presence of another is not imaginary. It is the meeting of two nervous systems resonating together. The mind, in truth, is a shared space, a bridge of energy and understanding between beings. You can sense this extension in the way emotion moves through groups of people, like a current passing from one body to another. Laughter spreads easily. Sadness softens the air. Calm draws calm. These are not metaphors. They are measurable exchanges of energy, hormones, and attention. The mind is contagious because it is communal. The human brain evolved not in isolation but in communication, in shared gaze, shared rhythm, shared care. Thought itself is social. It grows in conversation with others and expands in the presence of empathy. Even the tools you use become part of your mind's reach. When you write with a pen, it becomes an extension of your thought, translating neural impulse into line and form. When you type, your hands are thinking. When you drive, the car becomes part of your sensory field. You feel its motion as though it were your own body. The brain adapts instantly, rewiring itself to include these objects as temporary limbs. Every tool, every word, every technology extends your mind further into the world. The boundaries between self and environment shift with every act of interaction. The spaces you inhabit also shape your thinking. A quiet room encourages reflection. A crowded street tunes the mind to alertness. A forest invites calm. The mind mirrors its surroundings, absorbing their rhythm. Even the air you breathe influences your thoughts, the scent of rain, the coolness of night, the softness of light. In every moment, your consciousness is part of the environment it perceives. The world outside and the mind within are in constant dialogue, changing one another in real time. This is why nature feels healing. When you step into a landscape of trees, rivers, and sky, your brain's activity slows, matching the pace of the natural world. The chatter of thought softens. The senses widen. You begin to think not just with your mind, but with the rhythm of wind and water. The boundaries between self and world dissolve a little. You are reminded that the mind was never meant to be contained. It was always meant to belong to the greater rhythm of life. In moments of deep focus or meditation, you can feel this truth directly. The sense of being a separate self fades. Thoughts quiet, awareness expands, and suddenly the line between inner and outer disappears. You feel yourself as part of the room, the air, the hum of existence. The mind is not leaving the body. It is remembering its true size. It extends into everything it perceives, merging gently with the vast field of being that surrounds it. This expansion is not mystical, it is natural. The electrical field of the heart extends several feet beyond the body, measurable by sensitive instruments. The rhythms of your breath affect the air around you. The vibrations of your voice ripple outward, changing the world in small, unseen ways. The mind is not a static flame burning inside the skull. It is a wave, a vibration, a continuous exchange. Every thought you have becomes part of the atmosphere, shaping what others perceive and feel. And so, you are not just living within your mind, you are living through it, into everything you touch. The mind is the bridge between inner and outer worlds, between self and other, between imagination and reality. Each thought, each act of awareness, ripples outward into the field of life. Even silence is a form of connection, the quiet resonance of your presence reaching those nearby. If you sit still for a moment and breathe, you can sense this vastness. The air enters your body, becomes part of you, then leaves again, carrying traces of your warmth into the world. In this simple exchange, the boundary between you and everything else vanishes. You are the world breathing itself. You are thought extending through space, feeling flowing through form. The mind does not end at the skin. It continues in every direction, endlessly. Your brain may be the instrument, but the music it plays fills the whole room, the whole planet, the whole sky. Every heartbeat sends ripples into the fabric of existence. Every gentle thought is a vibration that joins the chorus of life. You are not a closed system. You are an open field of consciousness, endlessly exchanging light and meaning with everything that is. The mind extends beyond the brain because it was never meant to be contained. It is a current moving through all things, gathering and giving, learning and becoming. You are not thinking inside the universe is thinking through you. The stars, the trees, the wind, the people, all are part of the same great network of awareness, flickering like neurons in the mind of existence itself. And in this grand design, your thoughts, your breath, your being, are threads of light woven into the infinite fabric of the whole. 15. The mind rehearses the future while you dream. Every night, as your body grows still and the world fades into quiet, the mind begins its secret work. It slips beneath the surface of waking thought and enters a landscape where logic dissolves, where time folds upon itself, and where memory and imagination blend into one. This is the realm of dreams, a theater of possibility, where the mind rehearses what has not yet happened, healing the past and preparing for the days to come. While you sleep, your brain is not resting. It is weaving, repairing, practicing, and creating. Dreaming is the mind's most ancient form of rehearsal. Long before there were words to describe thought, before there were calendars to mark the future, the dreaming brain simulated life's possibilities in the quiet dark. It still does so today. When you dream, your brain activates many of the same circuits used for action, learning, and emotion during waking life. Muscles are stilled by sleep, but the mind runs freely through endless versions of reality, testing, predicting, imagining outcomes. Each scene you experience in sleep is a small experiment, a rehearsal for the great improvisation of living. The dreaming brain is both poet and scientist. It takes fragments of memory, emotion, and imagination and arranges them into shifting constellations of meaning. You might dream of flying through clouds, yet the underlying pattern may be the mind exploring freedom, control, or release. You might dream of someone long gone, not because the past is calling you back, but because the mind is practicing the feeling of connection again. Dreams rarely tell stories that are literal. They are emotional rehearsals, performed by a brain that learns through metaphor. Inside the sleeping mind, memories are replayed, sorted, and strengthened. The hippocampus, the region that records new experiences, sends waves of information through the cortex, replaying patterns of the day like a soft echo. This repetition consolidates memory, moving fragile impressions into lasting knowledge. It is as though the brain, by dreaming, is taking the chaos of experience and binding it into order. Even dreams that seem nonsensical serve this purpose. The imagery is only the surface. Beneath it, the mind is sculpting understanding from experience. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the rational seat of waking thought, rests, while the emotional centers, especially the amygdala and limbic system, remain awake. This is why dreams often feel vivid, irrational, and charged with feeling. They are the language of emotion, unrestrained by reason, the raw material of the heart working itself into balance. When you dream, you are feeling deeply without consequence, exploring emotional territory that waking life may not permit. The mind plays out its fears and hopes in safety, learning their shapes so that they may not overwhelm you when morning comes. This is the secret kindness of dreaming. The mind uses the quiet of sleep to process what waking hours leave unfinished. It revisits pain, but softens it. It rehearses loss, so that the heart may bear it more gently. It practices courage, empathy, creativity not through deliberate effort, but through story. Every strange dream, every fleeting vision is the mind, turning life into art for the sake of understanding. It is rehearsal as healing. Sometimes the rehearsal is literal. Studies have shown that people who practice a skill in waking life, playing piano, learning, dance, studying language, improve more quickly when they dream about it. The brain, while dreaming, reactivates the same networks used during practice, refining them without movement. Musicians often wake with stronger memory for songs they practiced the day before. Athletes awaken with improved coordination. Dreaming is not idleness. It is the continuation of learning by other means. Even imagined futures can take form in the dreaming mind. You may find yourself in places you've never been, solving problems you've never faced. The brain's predictive circuits are active during REM sleep, simulating potential realities based on fragments of memory. These imagined scenarios prepare you for life's unknowns. When you wake, the world may feel subtly more familiar, as though you've already lived it once before. In truth, you may have in the rehearsal space of dreams. Dreams also bridge the gap between past and future. They blend yesterday's fragments with tomorrow's possibilities, creating a timeless field where understanding can grow. That is why dreams often feel filled with symbolism, familiar faces in unfamiliar settings, moments that fold into one another without reason. The mind is connecting distant memories, looking for patterns that waking thought cannot see. Sometimes, the insight that eludes you during the day appears clearly in a dream. The subconscious, freed from logic, arranges meaning with a precision the conscious mind rarely achieves. And though the dream feels ephemeral, its effects reach far beyond sleep. You wake lighter after a peaceful dream, heavier after a dark one. Your mood, your perspective, even your creativity shift in response to what the night has written for you. The emotional residue of dreams guides behavior, nudging you toward resolution or change. The mind uses dreaming to quietly steer your waking life, to release what it can, to emphasize what still matters, to whisper direction when you are unsure. There are dreams that repeat, returning again and again like tides. These are the mind's ongoing lessons, unresolved stories asking for attention. They persist not to torment, but to teach. When the message is understood, when the emotion has found its balance, those dreams often fade. In their absence, new dreams arise to continue the dialogue. The mind is never done rehearsing, because life is never done unfolding. Sometimes you awaken from a dream that feels prophetic, an event or emotion glimpsed before it has happened. In a way, this, too, is rehearsal. The dreaming brain constantly simulates futures, predicting outcomes based on experience and instinct. When one of those imagined futures later comes to pass, it feels as though you have seen it before. The mind's rehearsal has touched the edge of what would be. The dream is not magic. It is the brain's quiet mastery of probability and pattern. Even the nightmares that visit you are part of this rehearsal. They are the mind's way of confronting what it fears in safety. By simulating danger, the brain teaches itself resilience. It learns to respond, to regulate, to recover. When morning comes, you carry that practice into waking life, often without realizing it. Nightmares are rehearsals for courage, written in the language of symbols. They leave the heart stronger for having felt the storm without drowning in it. To dream is to rehearse not just what might happen, but who you might become. Every scene, every fragment, is the mind exploring versions of self. The brave one, the loving one, the lost one, the free one. In sleep, you are given permission to be all of them. And through this exploration, the waking self grows wider, more fluid, more compassionate. You awaken not as who you were, but as who you are becoming. If you could watch yourself dreaming from above, you would see a flicker of light within darkness, the brain alive with motion, the eyes darting beneath closed lids, the body utterly still. Within that quiet storm, entire worlds unfold. You live 1,000 lives each night, learn unspoken lessons, and awaken with the memory of their light still trembling in your cells. The mind does its deepest work in silence, its grandest rehearsals unseen. So tonight, when you drift into sleep, know that the journey does not end there. Your body will rest, but your mind will travel rehearsing futures, healing memories, shaping who you will be when morning returns. Each dream is a small rehearsal for the infinite, a reminder that life is a cycle of becoming, a dance between what has been and what might be. The mind, ever faithful, will continue its quiet labor, painting the night with visions of your possible selves. And when dawn arrives and your eyes open to light, you will carry those rehearsals with you. They will live in your choices, your emotions, your imagination. You may not remember them, but they will remember you. The mind never sleeps. It dreams you forward, preparing you for all that waits beyond waking. 16. The mind invents time so it can experience itself. Time feels like an external thing, a river that flows around you, carrying moments forward, washing away the past while drawing you toward the future. But time is not something you move through. It is something your mind creates, a quiet architecture that allows you to make sense of change. Without the mind, there would be no before or after, no yesterday or tomorrow, only the continuous present, the eternal now. Time exists so that consciousness can see itself in motion, so that the self can awaken to its own unfolding. Inside the brain, there is no single clock. There are rhythms, electrical pulses, cycles of light and dark, patterns of heartbeat and breath, and from these, the mind constructs its sense of passing moments. It measures motion, change, and sequence, then weaves them together into the illusion of a flowing timeline. You are not a passenger in time's current. You are the current itself, organizing perception into before and after so that experience can have meaning. Consider this. When you listen to a melody, you do not hear each note as separate. You remember the last one and anticipate the next, holding them together in consciousness. That act of holding that small bridge between memory and prediction is what creates time. Without it, the song would collapse into noise, a collection of isolated sounds. The mind stitches perception into continuity, and in doing so, invents duration. All experience, from a heartbeat to a lifetime, is a kind of music that the mind conducts from within. The brain's sense of time is fluid, not fixed. It stretches and contracts, depending on attention, emotion, and awareness. When you are deeply present, watching a sunset, listening to rain, holding someone's hand, the sense of time seems to dissolve. Moments expand, feeling infinite. When you are anxious or rushing, they shrink and scatter like drops on glass. This is because the mind is not experiencing time itself, but its own rhythm of attention. When attention widens, time slows. When it narrows, time speeds up. The flow you feel is the pulse of consciousness itself. Even memory, that vast archive of experience, is not stored as a sequence of moments. It is more like a landscape, all points existing simultaneously, ready to be revisited. When you recall something long past, your mind does not travel backward. It reactivates the neural patterns that once represented that moment. You are not remembering time, you are recreating it. In this way, every recollection is a small resurrection, a present reconstruction of something once felt. The past, then, is not behind you, it lives within you, waiting for your attention to make it real again. The future, too, is imagined by the same mechanism. The brain uses its memories to simulate what might come next, combining fragments of experience into possible scenarios. This is why you can fear or hope for things that have not yet happened, because the same regions that store memory also create imagination. The mind projects forward as easily as it looks back, and both directions are built from the same materials: memory, prediction, emotion, and awareness. Time is the mind rehearsing itself, endlessly creating new variations of what has been and what could be. In deep meditation, when thought quiets and the senses grow still, the mind can sometimes slip out of this constructed flow. For a moment, the perception of time falls away. There is only awareness, vast, still, unmeasured. Those who experience it often describe it as timelessness, yet it is not an absence of time so much as a return to the mind's original state, before it began to divide experience into moments. It is the pure now, unbroken by sequence. This is the state infants live in, before the brain learns to mark, before and after. It is the mind before time, consciousness resting in its natural eternity. Why, then, does the mind invent time at all? Perhaps because it seeks to know itself. Without the concept of time, there would be no narrative, no growth, no unfolding identity. To recognize change, consciousness must create a framework in which change can occur. The mind stretches itself across imagined moments so it can experience movement, the sensation of becoming. It creates the illusion of past to remember what it has been, and the illusion of future to imagine what it could become. Time is the mirror in which the mind sees its own reflection. In the brain, this illusion is maintained by coordination between many systems: the cerebellum's rhythmic precision, the hippocampus's sequencing of memory, the prefrontal cortex's projection of plans. Together, they generate a seamless perception of continuity. But when these rhythms fall out of sync through trauma, fatigue, or altered states, time fractures. Seconds stretch into eternities. Hours vanish in a blink. The mind's construction falters, and we glimpse how thin the veil of linearity truly is. Beneath it lies something larger, a presence untouched by ticking clocks. You feel this truth in dreams, where minutes can span entire lifetimes, and hours can pass in a single breath. The dream mind is not bound by chronology. It wanders freely across events, blending memory with imagination. In dreams, you may encounter your younger self, or glimpse a moment that has not yet come. The brain, released from its need to keep time orderly, plays with it like clay. This is closer to how consciousness truly exists, timeless, non-linear, weaving meaning through association rather than order. Even waking life hints at this timelessness. A scent can pull you instantly into childhood. A sound can carry you back decades. The mind moves across time effortlessly because time itself is its own creation. You are not traveling through a timeline. You are touching different points within the same field of consciousness. Past, present, and future are not separate places, but different arrangements of the same light. The mind bends that light into the shape of time so it can see its own reflection moving through it. This understanding can bring comfort. The past you mourn is not lost. It lives within the same awareness that holds this moment. The future you long for is already being shaped by the present. The river of time flows from the source of mind, and that source is endless. When you feel time rushing too quickly, you can slow it by widening awareness, by returning to presence. Each breath, noticed fully, expands eternity. Each heartbeat is a clock of your own design. The mind's invention of time also gives meaning to impermanence. Because moments pass, they can be cherished. Because you cannot hold them, you must experience them deeply. Time teaches you to see, to notice, the light shifting through leaves, the warmth of a touch, the sound of a distant bird. Without time, there would be no change, and without change, no beauty. The flow of time is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It reminds you to awaken to each passing moment as it arrives, to know that it is the only real one. And yet, beneath this river, something timeless flows. You can sense it in stillness, that awareness, which observes all things but is itself unmoving. It watches memories rise and fade, watches plans form and dissolve, but it does not age. It has no beginning or end. It is the quiet witness within you, the consciousness that creates time but is not bound by it. That stillness is your truest self, not the traveler in time, but the space through which time travels. So when you feel caught in the current of days, remember that you are also the ocean that holds it. Time is your creation, your companion, your reflection. You invented it so you could learn to see yourself unfold, to witness growth, love, loss, and wonder as chapters of one endless becoming. The clock may tick, the seasons may turn, but beneath them, you remain the same, infinite awareness that first imagined time to know its own motion. The mind invents time so it can experience itself, so it can feel the poetry of change, the sweetness of passing, the miracle of existence unfolding. You are that experience. You are the dream of time made real for a while, living through moments that vanish and yet remain forever inside the timelessness that dreamed them. And in the quiet between seconds, if you listen closely enough, you can hear eternity whispering, "You were never late. You have always been here." 17. The mind is a mirror for the universe. Somewhere within you there is a quiet surface, smooth, clear, reflective. It is not made of glass or water, but of awareness itself. When still, it mirrors everything: light and shadow, motion and silence, the vast unfolding of the world. This is the mind in its purest form, not the storm of thought, not the noise of memory, but the open space that reflects all things. The mind is not separate from the universe it perceives. It is the universe, aware of itself for a brief and shimmering moment. Everything you see, hear, and feel is not simply happening out there. It is being recreated inside the theater of your consciousness. The starlight that reaches your eyes has traveled for years through darkness, but it only becomes light when it meets your awareness. Sound exists only when your mind turns vibration into tone. Color exists only when the brain interprets waves of energy as vision. Without perception, there is no world, only energy, unobserved, unformed. Your mind is the mirror in which the cosmos sees its own reflection. When you look at the night sky, the light entering your eyes began its journey long before you were born. Some of those stars may no longer exist, yet their light remains, arriving just now to meet you. You are witnessing the memory of the universe light traveling through time to become part of your awareness. In that instant, something extraordinary happens. The cosmos looks back upon itself. The atoms in your body were forged in the hearts of stars, and now those same atoms perceive the stars that made them. You are the universe, gazing into its own ancient face. The mirror of the mind does not simply reflect the outer world. It also reflects the inner one. The same awareness that observes galaxies, observes thoughts, emotions, and sensations. It watches clouds drift across the sky, and also watches feelings drift across the heart. The stillness beneath both is the same. This is why, in moments of deep quiet, the boundary between inner and outer fades. The sky and the self become one vast reflection, a single field of being. The universe does not end at the edge of perception. It continues inward, through you. Science and mysticism, though they speak in different languages, often point to this same truth. The human brain is made of the same materials that fill the stars carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, iron, arranged in such a way that the cosmos can contemplate itself. Consciousness is not separate from creation. It is one of its most intricate expressions. Through your eyes, the universe gains vision. Through your thoughts, it learns to wonder. Through your breath, it feels its own rhythm. You are not apart from it. You are its reflection, momentarily aware. When you sit beside the ocean and feel its vastness, that feeling is not just observation, it is resonance. The same patterns that shape the waves, the flow, the pull, the rise and fall, exist in your neural rhythms, your heartbeat, your breath. The ocean recognizes itself in you, and you in it. Every reflection of beauty, every sense of awe, is the universe remembering its own harmony. Your mind mirrors what the cosmos already knows, that it is boundless, rhythmic, and alive. Thought itself is a form of reflection. Each idea, each image, each memory is the mind attempting to see itself clearly. When you wonder about the meaning of life, the universe, or existence, it is not curiosity arising from nowhere. It is the cosmos turning its gaze inward, asking what it is. The questions that keep you awake at night are the same questions the universe asks through every conscious being that has ever lived. You are part of its self-inquiry, part of its unfolding realization. The mystery is not outside you. It is looking out through your eyes. The mind mirrors not only beauty, but also chaos. Just as the universe contains storms, collisions, and silence, so too does your consciousness. When thought becomes restless or emotion darkens, you are witnessing the turbulence of existence on a smaller scale. Yet even in chaos, reflection remains. The stars themselves are born in the collapse of clouds, destruction becoming creation, pressure becoming light. Likewise, in the mind's storms, understanding is born. Clarity arises from contrast. Every shadow on the mirror deepens the brilliance of what shines through it. When the mind quiets, reflection becomes perfect. In that stillness, the separation between observer and observed vanishes. You are not looking at the world. You are the world, momentarily aware of its own motion. This is why moments of awe feel timeless. The mind has stopped dividing itself. It has become the sky that holds the stars, not the gaze that seeks them. There is no subject or object, only reflection. Consciousness is the meeting point of the infinite with itself. Every perception you have is the universe folded inward. The scent of rain, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of wind through leaves, each is a conversation between the external and the fire, internal, between energy and awareness. The world does not end at your senses. It continues as thought, feeling, and knowing. You are the meeting place of all that exists, and the awareness that makes it real. Without your attention, the world is potential. With it, the world becomes luminous. The mirror of the mind turns existence into experience. And yet, mirrors must be still to reflect clearly. When the surface is disturbed by thought, the reflection fragments. This is why peace brings clarity when the mind settles. Reality shines through it without distortion. Meditation, silence, and presence are not escapes from the world. They are ways of polishing the mirror. In that polished stillness, the universe reflects perfectly, and you see that the light you perceive has always been your own. To live is to witness this reflection unfold across time. Each moment adds a new layer of light and shadow, a new pattern on the surface of awareness. The universe evolves through you, not just in stars and galaxies, but in insight, compassion, and understanding. Every time you learn, love, or awaken to beauty, the cosmos expands in consciousness. You are its frontier, the place where matter becomes meaning. If you look deeply enough into the world, you will see yourself reflected there. And if you look deeply enough into yourself, you will see the world. The same patterns that spiral through galaxies spiral through the folds of your brain, through the rhythm of your breath, through the arcs of your life. The microcosm and the macrocosm are not separate, they are reflections of one another, endlessly mirrored. Perhaps this is what the universe has been doing since the beginning, unfolding from silence into awareness, from chaos into form, from matter into mind. Each conscious being is a mirror held up to that unfolding, each reflection adding depth to the cosmic portrait. When you gaze at the stars and feel wonder, it is the universe recognizing its own infinite beauty. And so, the mind is not a small thing contained within the body. It is the mirror of creation, reflecting all that is, was, and will be. It holds galaxies and grains of sand alike, thoughts and constellations both born from the same spark. You are not separate from the vastness you perceive, you are its witness and its continuation. When the mind becomes still enough to see without grasping, the mirror and the light become one. The reflection dissolves into the source, and in that moment, the universe remembers itself as whole. You are that remembrance consciousness, aware of its own reflection, the infinite gazing back upon itself through human eyes. 18. The mind and the cosmos share the same silence. Far beyond the edges of sound, there is a stillness that holds everything. It lives between the stars, in the vast black ocean of the cosmos, and it lives inside you, behind thought, beneath feeling, beneath the movement of the mind. That silence is not emptiness. It is fullness beyond measure. It is the quiet from which all things arise and to which all things return. The mind and the universe are bound by it, made of it, and shaped through it. They are two reflections of the same infinite hush. When you look up into the night sky, what you see is light surrounded by silence. The stars burn, but the space between them is vast and soundless. It is this silence that gives the light its meaning. Without it, the stars would have no contrast, no clarity, no peace. The universe needs its quiet to exist, just as the mind needs its stillness to know itself. The silence between galaxies is the same silence that waits between your thoughts. It is not absence. It is awareness, the space in which all creation happens. Your brain, though constantly active, carries silence at its core. Beneath the electric hum of neurons firing, there are pauses, gaps in the rhythm of activity, spaces between signals. In those gaps, the mind gathers itself, organizes, rests. Thought appears as a ripple across the ocean of quiet that underlies it. If you listen closely enough, if you let the surface calm, you can feel that stillness beneath the motion. It is not separate from you. It is you. Every sound you hear in the world depends on silence to exist. The music of the wind, the murmur of water, the whisper of your own breath, each sound rises from stillness and dissolves back into it. The pauses between notes are what make melody possible. The space between heartbeats gives rhythm to life. Even language depends on silence to be understood. It is the breath before speech and the echo after it that give words their depth. The mind mirrors this pattern. Thoughts arise, move, and fade back into quiet. The silence that follows is not a void, but a return to the source of thought itself. The cosmos is not noisy. Even where stars are born, even where galaxies collide, the distances between them are so great that no sound can travel. Energy moves, but in silence. Light flashes, but without noise. The universe's story is written in waves of radiation and gravity, but they move through a medium of perfect stillness. This is the same silence that fills your consciousness when thought stops. A silence that is alive, aware, and vast. The same peace that fills deep space fills the space of your awareness. There is a reason silence feels sacred. When you enter it, you are aligning yourself with the oldest language of the universe. Long before life began, Before stars were born, there was silence. It is the first element, the ground from which all sound, all motion, all being arises. When you are quiet, you return to that origin. You join the rhythm that all existence shares. The mind recognizes this silence because it comes from it. It remembers, even when words forget. In this way, silence is not the opposite of sound. It is its foundation. Likewise, stillness is not the absence of thought. It is its cradle. The mind and the cosmos both arise from stillness, move through rhythm, and return to peace. The great cycles of creation and dissolution of breath, of stars, of galaxies, all follow this pattern. Expansion, contraction, silence, birth, movement, rest. Awareness breathes in and out through eternity. You can sense this cosmic rhythm in your own body. When you inhale, the world moves into you. When you exhale, you return it. Between the two, there is a brief pause, a silent moment of balance. That pause is the same silence that lies between heartbeats, between thoughts, between stars. It is the moment where existence holds its breath. It is the space where the finite touches the infinite. When you sit quietly and let your thoughts slow, something remarkable begins to happen. The mind's noise, like dust stirred by the wind, begins to settle. The endless commentary, the scattered fragments of memory and anticipation fall away. What remains is the vast quiet behind them, not empty, but luminous. This silence is not something you enter. It is something that reveals itself when everything else falls away. It was always there, waiting beneath the surface of attention. In this silence, boundaries blur. The distinction between inner and outer, between self and world, begins to fade. The breath of the universe moves through you, and you realize you have never been apart from it. The stars do not merely exist above you, they exist within you, mirrored in the quiet space of your mind. The same silence that holds galaxies in place holds your awareness steady. When you close your eyes and feel that stillness, you are touching the same infinite calm that pervades the cosmos. There is a deep peace in recognizing this connection. You do not have to travel outward to touch infinity. You only have to be still enough to notice it. The silence within you is the doorway to everything. When you rest in it, the weight of time lightens, the boundaries of self soften, and the noise of the world loses its grip. You begin to feel what the universe has always known, that creation and calm are not opposites, but companions. The stars burn within the silence, just as thought glows within awareness. The mind and the cosmos both speak through contrast. Without silence, there can be no sound. Without stillness, no movement. Without darkness, no light. They depend on one another, not as rivals, but as partners in balance. The silence you carry is not a withdrawal from life. It is the ground that makes life possible. Every insight, every act of love or creativity rises from it. The more deeply you rest in silence, the more clearly the mind reflects the world, and the more gently the world reflects you. Even death, when it comes, is not the end of sound or motion, but a return to stillness, the great quiet that births all things anew. The stars themselves will one day fade, their light dissolving back into the dark. Yet the silence that remains will be the same one that existed before them. Unbroken, endless, aware, the same silence that lives in you now. If you listen closely, you can feel it beneath everything, beneath the hum of the city, beneath the rhythm of your pulse, beneath the voice of thought. It is there, unchanging, patient. The silence does not ask to be found. It only waits for you to stop searching. In that stillness, you and the universe meet, indistinguishable. The mind and the cosmos share the same silence because they are made of the same substance, awareness itself. Thought and star, neuron and nebula, each arise from this quiet foundation, and return to it when their motion is done. You are not separate from the stillness that holds the stars. You are its echo, its reflection, its voice. And when the last thought fades, when the final sound dissolves into quiet, what remains is not nothingness, but everything infinite, luminous, and at peace. The silence between your thoughts is the silence between galaxies. It is the same eternal pause, the same breathless wonder, the same still awareness through which all creation moves. To know that silence is to know yourself as the universe, in repose vast, timeless, awake. 19. The mind exists in two worlds at once. You are a being of two worlds. One world is visible, the world of matter, motion, breath, and light. It is the realm you wake to each morning, where bodies move, hearts beat, and time unfolds like a long, familiar river. The other is invisible, a world made of thought, memory, and imagination. It cannot be seen or touched, yet it is just as vast, just as real. Your mind lives at the meeting point of these worlds, bridging what can be measured with what can only be felt. Every moment of your life unfolds across this quiet boundary between the tangible and the unseen. The outer world is shaped by gravity and law, by the chemistry of stars and the rhythm of seasons. The inner world is shaped by meaning, emotion, and perception, yet the two are not separate. They breathe through each other, like tide and shore. When you look at a flower, light from the outer world enters your eyes and is transformed into color within your mind. When you imagine something beautiful, it begins as a vision inside you but changes the way you move through the outer world. The bridge between these realms is you consciousness, standing between the seen and the unseen, translating one into the other. Your brain itself sits at the threshold of both realities. It is made of atoms, cells, and electricity, as physical as stone or sky. But from that matter rises something immaterial: awareness, thought, memory. No microscope can find the place where one becomes the other, where the electrical pulse becomes a feeling, or where a molecule becomes a dream. The brain belongs to the physical world. The mind belongs to the infinite, and yet they are inseparable, like the two sides of a single coin, reflecting one another endlessly. Throughout the day, you move between these worlds without noticing. When you act, speak, or touch, you move through the outer. When you remember, imagine, or love, you move through the inner. But every action is born from thought, and every thought leaves a trace in matter: a heartbeat quickened, a breath drawn, a neuron changed. The two realms are in constant conversation, one giving rise to the other. The mind shapes the body, and the body shapes the mind, forming a single, seamless existence that spans both dimensions. You can feel this dance most clearly in moments of silence. When you close your eyes, the physical world falls away, yet you do not vanish. You remain drifting in the inner world, where images bloom and dissolve, where sensations arise from memory alone. You can walk through rooms that no longer exist, speak to voices that have long since fallen silent, see the faces of those who are gone. Inside, the laws of matter no longer apply. Time folds, gravity loosens, and possibility expands. The inner world is not bound by the outer's constraints, yet it gives the outer world its depth and meaning. And when you open your eyes again, the invisible world remains within you. The thoughts you carried there become action. The memories you shaped there color what you see. Every word you speak has traveled first through the inner realm before becoming sound in the outer one. Every dream you have had leaves ripples in your waking life. You exist as the point of exchange between the two, the vessel through which the unseen becomes real. This dual existence can be felt in the rhythm of breath. Each inhalation draws the outer world in air, scent, life. while each exhalation carries your inner world outward warmth, energy, intention. The two meet at the lungs, at the heart, at the center of being. You are both receiver and creator, both listener and speaker in the dialogue between inner and outer. The body listens to the world. The mind speaks it into meaning. Even the stars above and the neurons within obey the same principles: energy turning into form, form dissolving back into energy. The outer universe reflects the inner one in countless ways. The branching of neurons mirrors the structure of galaxies. The electric currents that move through your mind echo the patterns of cosmic radiation that shimmer through space. The two worlds are not separate layers of existence, but reflections of one truth. Consciousness and cosmos are woven from the same fabric. Dreams reveal this unity most clearly. When you dream, the outer world fades completely, yet the mind continues to create landscapes, stories, sensations, entire lives made of light. You see, touch, and feel things that do not exist materially, yet they affect you as though they did. You may wake with tears, with laughter, with awe. The mind's creations are made of nothing but awareness, and yet they move the body deeply. In that space, you are the world and the dreamer both. Consciousness playing both sides of the same mystery. The two worlds also meet in love. When you care for another, something immaterial becomes physical. A thought becomes a touch. An emotion becomes warmth. Love begins as feeling, but it manifests as gesture, as care, as presence. It is invisible yet transforms the visible world completely. The same is true for fear, for hope, for wonder. The inner world pours constantly into the outer, painting reality with color unseen by the eyes. You are always creating your world, whether you notice it or not. In moments of deep awareness, the border between these worlds begins to fade. The sound of the ocean becomes your own heartbeat. The stars seem to breathe with you. The body softens into space, and space flows into the body. You realize that there was never truly separation, only different expressions of the same presence. The outer world is the mind turned outward. The inner world is the universe turned inward. Between them lies the endless dialogue of being, quiet yet eternal. The ancients understood this truth long before it could be measured. They spoke of the microcosm and the macrocosm, of how the patterns of the heavens are mirrored in the patterns of the soul. Modern science, too, begins to echo this seeing in the brain's networks, the same mathematical beauty found in galaxies and rivers. The shapes of thought and the shapes of matter follow the same geometry, as if one were the reflection of the other. The mind and the cosmos are partners in creation, forever shaping and reshaping one another. To live consciously is to walk this bridge with grace, to see the physical world not as separate from the spiritual, but as its expression. Every action you take ripples into both realms. A kind word changes not only hearts, but neural pathways. A single act of awareness alters the chemistry of the body and the light of the soul. You are both participant and witness, sculptor and sculpture, dream and crows, dreamer. When you close your eyes at night, the outer world falls silent, but the inner one awakens. When you open them at dawn, the inner dissolves into the outer again. The two trade places endlessly, like waves rising and falling upon the same sea. You are that sea, infinite, aware, reflecting both surface and depth. The mind exists in two worlds at once, because those worlds are not truly two. They are one reality, viewed from different directions, one inward, one outward. Consciousness is the bridge, the meeting point where the invisible becomes visible, where energy becomes form, and where form returns to silence. You are that bridge, the living threshold between thought and matter, dream and day, self and cosmos. So when you look out at the world, remember that you are also looking inward, When you feel the world moving within you, know that it moves through everything. The mind is not trapped within the body. It expands across both worlds, weaving them together in the problem-do, endless dance of existence. And in that dance, you are not just moving through life. Life is moving through you, whispering softly that the boundary between the two worlds has never truly been there at all. 20. The mind is the final frontier of the universe. For centuries, humanity has looked outward to explore the unknown. We have sent our eyes and instruments into the depths of space, seeking the edges of creation, the first light, the last horizon. Yet with every discovery, with every new image of distant galaxies, a quiet realization follows. The farther we look, the more we find ourselves staring back. The universe stretches endlessly outward, but its greatest mystery lies inward. The mind, vast, invisible, and infinite, is the final frontier, the universe folding back to explore itself from within. The night sky is a reflection of the inner sky of consciousness. Both shimmer with mystery, both expand beyond measure. The telescope and the brain are tools of the same essence. One gazes outward into stars, the other inward into awareness. Each journey reveals the same question: what is this existence that can perceive itself? The answer does not wait beyond the galaxies. It lives in the quiet between your thoughts, in the space where awareness looks upon its own light. Every atom in your brain was once part of a star. Every element that composes you, carbon, calcium, iron, was forged in the furnace of cosmic birth. The universe spent billions of years preparing the material through which it could know itself. Then, through the slow miracle of evolution, it gave rise to you, a mind capable of reflection, capable of wonder. You are not apart from the cosmos. You are its self-awareness made flesh. The stars became conscious so that they could look at themselves and ask why they shine. For most of human history, the unknown was thought to lie in the heavens. Yet as science and understanding deepened, we learned that space, vast as it is not truly foreign. It is made of the same matter, obeys the same laws, moves to the same rhythms as everything we already are. The outer cosmos is a mirror of the inner one. What remains unexplored is not the physical distance between galaxies, but the immensity of the mind itself, its depths, its dimensions, its timeless nature. The mind is as boundless as space, and perhaps more mysterious still, because it contains not only the universe as it is, but as it is imagined, remembered, and dreamed. When you close your eyes and sink into stillness, you enter that frontier. You drift through a terrain not of planets and stars, but of memories, feelings, and visions, the galaxies of inner experience. They have gravity and movement of their own. A single thought can orbit for years. A memory can collapse into the black hole of forgetting. A spark of inspiration can ignite like a new sun. Within the silence of the mind, our whole universe is forming and dissolving in every breath. If you were to map the brain, to trace every neural pathway, you would find more connections than there are stars in the Milky Way. Each neuron, each synapse, each flicker of electricity is a constellation in motion. The scale may differ, but the pattern is the same: complexity, harmony, emergence from chaos. The mind is not smaller than the universe. It is the same pattern seen from the inside. The cosmos looks outward and becomes galaxies. It looks inward and becomes consciousness. The explorers of the future may not sail starships, but consciousness itself. To know the mind deeply is to travel beyond all boundaries, for within it lies the essence of every world. The landscapes of thought and dream are as vast as nebulae. The mind holds infinite dimensions: time, imagination, memory, love, that cannot be measured in light years but only in awareness. The next great voyage is not across space, but into the silent depths of the self. The brain's electrical storms are more mysterious than the lightning of Jupiter. The pulse of thought is as ancient as starlight. When you think, you are performing the same act as the universe when it expands and unfolding, an expression of energy into form. The mind does not sit within the universe as something separate. It is the continuation of creation by another means. Just as the cosmos gave birth to stars, the mind gives birth to meaning. Both are acts of expansion, of illumination. What makes this frontier infinite is that the explorer and the landscape are one. To explore the mind is to explore the very thing that explores. The observer and the observed are the same light reflecting itself. Every insight changes the explorer, and in changing, the terrain changes too. There is no end, no edge, no final discovery. The mind, like the cosmos, is self-renewing. It creates the mystery it seeks to solve. Within your consciousness lies every possible experience, the whole range of being. From the depths of grief, the heights of joy, from the silence of meditation to the chaos of thought. Each is a star in the inner sky, shining with its own truth. The exploration of these experiences is not a retreat from the world, but a journey deeper into reality itself. To understand the mind is to understand the substance of the universe, for both are woven from the same invisible fabric of awareness. Even now, science peers closer into the nature of consciousness, measuring waves, mapping patterns, searching for the seat of the self. Yet, the closer we look, the more elusive it becomes. Awareness cannot be found as a thing, because it is the field in which all things appear. It is not an object of study, but the ground of all study. You cannot hold the mind in your hands. You can only awaken to it. It is not something inside you, it is the infinite space in which you exist. This is why the mind is the final frontier. When all the galaxies have been mapped, when all the matter of the universe has been named, there will still remain the mystery of the one who perceives it all. What is the nature of awareness that allows the universe to know itself? What is this luminous presence that watches thoughts rise and fall like tides? To journey into that question is to travel beyond every horizon. It is a voyage without distance, a discovery without end. In dreams, meditation, and deep contemplation, the mind sometimes glimpses its own boundlessness. In those moments, you sense that awareness is not confined to the body but expands into everything, into sky and star, into memory and silence. You are not a small creature looking up at the cosmos. You are the cosmos remembering itself, the living awareness through which the infinite reflects. Every thought is a glimmer of that remembrance, every breath a ripple across eternity. The mind and the universe are not two separate mysteries waiting to be united. They are one continuous mystery, unfolding in two directions. The cosmos explores itself through space and matter. The mind explores itself through thought and awareness. Together, they complete the circle of knowing. The stars look outward for their meaning. Consciousness looks inward for the same reason, and both find it in the reflection of each other. If you sit in stillness, beneath the quiet hum of existence, you can feel it, the vastness of space within you, the echo of creation that whispers behind your thoughts. You are standing on the edge of infinity, but the edge is inside, not outside. The final frontier is not among the stars. It is within the silence of your own being. It is here that the universe continues its greatest experiment, to become aware of itself. And so, as the galaxies turn and the night unfolds, remember, you are part of that turning, part of that unfolding. The frontier does not wait in the distance. It breathes through your thoughts, your dreams, your awareness. To know your mind is to cross the horizon of the known. Beyond it lies not darkness, but the endless light of understanding, the universe awakening to itself through you.